Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 44 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Danny from Flippin Sweet in England. Let's go! Shirt show!
We should probably talk about our sponsors, yeah?
I want to talk about Monarch. Monarch, if anybody doesn't know, makes ink, and they make, in my opinion, some of the best ink in the industry for sure. Super, super helpful people, especially Aaron is my go-to. I love calling him, and we just shoot the shit for 45 minutes at a time.
I need to call him. I don't have his number, I don't think. I looked for it the other day.
Well, it's funny. I called him the other day, like for a real quick question, and I was driving, and we ended up talking for like 35 minutes. But yeah, real good people, really into what they're doing. You know what I mean? They're not just a company that sells something.
Totally.
They're totally nerded out on what they're doing. But yeah, things have been great.
Will you whisper how much of a discount you get on your first order to me? Just whisper it to me.
10% on your first order. did your hairs raise?
You see that?
I think that's just me whispering in your ear.
No, I just got goosebumps and my hair stood up. 10% off?
10%.
Well, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Give Aaron a call. Like, maybe don't give Aaron a call, or do call him.
Or just regardless, do your research and try out some new inks and see for yourself.
Yeah, put them side by side. Like put Monarchs and then put whoever else.
Right. That's exactly what we did.
It. That's exactly what we did. Why would you not do that?
Right. Ink better.
Print better.
Live Moss. That's what Monarch's saying is ink better, print better, live Moss, Taco Bell.
Okay. All right. Well, who's next?
Who do you think it is? Starts with a.
Oh, shit.
It starts with.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Frank.
Love you, bud.
Yeah, I love you too, Frank. Frank makes a killer screen, no doubt about it. And
I saw you the other day have a whole fresh palette ready to go to Frank, don't you?
We do. Yeah.
The screens that we have from GSF, which are 95% of our screens right now, because we were weeding out the old trash, are holding up amazing. And they're super strong screens, no issues, no leaks. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but like a lot of the manufacturers we got screens from before, like the welds leaked and like the screens filled with water.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, not Frank's.
Not Frank's, no. Pre-pressed supplies, reclaimed chemicals, squeegees, and racks, custom-made racks.
And if you mention Shirt Show to Frank, that you heard about him from Shirt Show, 5% off. Always.
That's a deal.
Yeah.
It's a bargain.
Yeah, it's a deal. I confirmed that because I texted him a minute ago and I was like, hey, is that true? Because I thought you said that.
Specials.
No, I was like, I thought you said that. And he's like, yep, no, it's 5%. He said, yes, sir.
You know why I really like talking about the next partner that we have?
Why?
Because it's the easiest way.
Yeah. Okay. So we're done then. That's all we say.
All right, cool.
We shouldn't say anything else.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that we should.
We talked about in episodes ago before Alex came on about how I used a different chemical. I used 2900 in my dip tank because I actually made the error, which when we first tried Easy Way, it didn't work out so well. And it wasn't Easy Way's fault. It was our fault. But we stopped using 2900 and we, obviously we're using Supra. And Supra lasted twice as long as the last chemical we had.
Dang.
In the dip tank.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So Easy Way, yeah. It's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. Yeah.
For sure.
For those of you who don't know, we have a monthly book club. We're on what is this, book 4?
Book 4. Sure
book 4. So once a month, we get together at the end of every month and we talk about a book that we decided to go with. and this month
Here it is.
is The Ride of a Lifetime. What was
Yeah,
this
I mean,
book about? The guy who was
about-
CEO of Disney or something?
It's just about Disney World, going there and which rides to get on and like which hotel to stay at, that kind of
That's
thing.
awful.
The thing is about the book club is that we have to remember, and I want to emphasize is that you don't even have to read the book because
Right.
guess what? March's book,
Most of the people did not finish the book.
most people didn't finish, and you know what? One person didn't even start it. Wild Boy. Justin Lawrence said,
So
I
fun,
didn't
69.
read any of this book, not a single word, but I just wanted to hang out.
But you know what?
Talk
That's
about it.
it's totally cool though, because
Totally
the whole
cool.
idea of the book club is for us to get inspired and talk about
That's
our
right.
own industry and business and lives and how it resonated. And
Exactly.
if you don't read the book, just come hang out and talk about that shit. Like we don't
Yeah.
care. The book is just like a way for us to like figure that shit out and talk about it. So if you just want to come hang out, you don't have to say anything. You can like be
In
muted
fact-
the whole time.
In fact, this last book club, we just talked about ice baths, basically.
For
right?
a while
Something like
we
that.
did, yeah.
For a while we did. Well, our guest Danny's here. I think we should bring him in. Let's do this.
What's up?
Hi, man. You all right?
Yep.
How's it going?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you two?
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday and you're at work.
Yeah.
Have you both been working today? Have you both been printing?
No.
No.
I'm here to
Yeah.
talk to you, man. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I'll stop interviewing you. Sorry.
What time is it there?
It's 2 minutes past 7. So, like, I got finished printing about maybe like an hour and a half ago. I ran home, had a quick shower, had something to eat, and now I'm here to chat. So
Nice.
I'm excited.
It's pretty bright there for 7:00.
Yeah, it's well, the clocks have just gone backwards or forwards, one or the other. So it's a little bit.
Well, in
brighter.
America, we spring forward. I don't know what you do there. Maybe you go backward.
I don't know. Well, it's definitely lighter in the evening at the moment. So I guess forward.
So, Danny, I saw a post you made. It was in your story, and you talked about us being able to understand you. I probably watched it like 5 times because I thought it was hilarious. And so I went and I YouTubed how like different English accents because I wanted to try and like learn them if I could in 2 nights. I don't know. But I had no idea there were so many like different accents. No clue.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess in America you've kind of got they're quite similar, I guess. I mean, obviously you've got Texas, which is Texas accents. Quite, it's totally different.
Different regions have different accents and cities.
Yeah, but in England we've got quite a few extremes. I mean, if you go to Liverpool, like they call the Liverpool Scousers, that's like a really extreme accent. And then you've got Manchester, Newcastle, and then my accent, which is Yorkshire, and they're all totally different to each other. But yeah, hopefully you can understand me.
Well, the funny thing is like I'm known for like all my friends here at the shop know that like I have a really hard time understanding accents. Like it has to be just like plain for me to understand. So there's shows that like I just can't watch, like Peaky Blinders or something. Like I cannot watch that show because I cannot understand a single word they said. So when I saw your post, I was like, I'm fucked. Like I am in so much trouble.
This might be the first episode that needs subtitles.
We're good. I can understand you now. It's just if I can't, I'm just going to ask you to hold up a cue card or something.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll try to speak as slowly as I can.
You're good. You're good.
No, awesome.
So, what have you been up to? Did you quarantine much, or do you just keep printing?
Yeah. Well, it worked out good for me because at the time of when the lockdowns first came about, I was pretty much working for myself anyway. So I was in the shop on my own. So when everybody was told to stay at home or work from home, it was kind of okay for me to come to the shop because I literally interacted with nobody anyway. Yeah. Right. So like through the entire lockdown, I've been fortunate enough to like just keep working, which has been a bit of a blessing. I know some of the other shops in the UK, the bigger shops, I know some of those probably had an hard time because they had lots of staff depending on it. lots of contract work and events and stuff like that. And because I'm probably on a smaller level, it didn't quite affect me too much. So I got pretty lucky really. It wasn't a stroke of genius, it was just pure luck. But yeah. So got away with it really.
Yeah, that's kind of how we were too. Like we don't have like a ton of employees. We're usually around like 8 to 10 or whatever. But like most of the people here, same thing. They just go from home to work, and it didn't really affect us too much. But we have a lot of friends in the industry that always talk to us about how like, one of their staff got COVID, and then like it spread to like 3 people, and then it's just like, oh, I couldn't imagine that. But fortunately, we got lucky and didn't have any issues or any cases or anything.
I think once we discover it in any type of business, the whole business had to shut down and quarantine, for like the 2 week or whatever it is. Luckily, we've just sort of got away with it. Really, I've not been affected. Yeah. So far.
Do you normally print like on the weekends?
Yeah, at the moment, well, probably for quite a while now, I've been printing pretty much 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, for quite a while. I'm probably at that stage where I'm dreaming of an auto, and I'm hoping by the end of the year I can get one, because at the moment it's just like not sustainable to just keep putting in these hours. Right. It's bit of burnout mode at the moment. But
how are you holding up physically?
Mentally, it's very tiring and draining. Physically, I'm probably used to it. The printing's obviously hard, manual, doing it for 12 hours a day or whatever it is. But I don't know. It's exercise, I suppose.
Do you have the space to get something bigger?
No. I mean, it's a bit of a tricky spot because I've got a bit of a crossroads at the moment, and I'm just not sure which way to go. I need an automatic, which means I need a bigger space. I'm looking at a bigger space, but where I am at the moment is like it's reasonably priced. It's pretty cheap, and it's just making the decision on what's going to work best. I think because I've got my overheads quite low, like through the whole lockdown and coronavirus, that's almost been my advantage. Whereas some of the bigger shops, maybe they've struggled a little bit because all of a sudden, they've got high overheads, big space, lots of machines and stuff.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So at the moment, being this small, it's quite safe.
Have you done
how timing just works out like that? For
Yeah.
different shops and different phases of where you are in your growth or whatever, it just works out. And so I think this one caught everybody by surprise, because we're kind of that shop you were just describing. We have all this space and all this equipment. In fact, we just installed like new equipment within like a month of everything happening. And so, we're kind of the flip side of what you just described.
Yeah. How did you find it with the customers that you used to get in terms of, I know a lot of the shops in the UK, they've lost all the festivals and the big events and stuff like that. And that's really the type of work they were getting. I'm sure it hit them hard. How did you find that type of thing?
So for us, it was a third of our business was schools, and that all went away, and another third of our business went away too. And so initially, anyway, and so we were left with not much. So we were diversified enough though that within like a month or two, we figured it out, and we just ramped back up slowly and added people and things like that. And so, it was going really well. We were probably on pace to hit back to, near 90% of what we were. But then just this last, a few weeks ago, we got, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I think it was industry wide here in America anyway. It just slowed for a few weeks, but that's not going on now. Now it's pretty stacked up. So
it's slamming right now.
Yeah. So, maybe it's because I know, so where we are in St. Louis, our spring has kind of happened. We've got trees budding and flowers and all that kind of stuff. Today's like going to be 70, you know? And so it's so funny how that weather goes, you know, because like a couple of weeks ago it was all rainy and crummy out. And then it turned nice and I don't know, everything changed.
Yeah. Well, we've had super sunny weather for the past week. And apparently on Monday, we're going to get hit by a snowstorm. So it's going to completely flip. And if looking out the window now, you just wouldn't believe, but apparently we're getting snow. So yeah.
Yeah, we got like an inch or two of snow yesterday, and it's 60 today.
Yeah, but
it all melted, I guess.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Melting.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's
the end of the world. I know we talk about usually with this industry, it's kind of like you buy a new piece of equipment or automate something to make things more efficient or to not have to hire another person. Have you like done the math to figure out if it's more efficient for you because of your space and your low overhead to just hire another person until you can get a bigger space or find a better opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. I can't hire a printer. It's hard to find anybody with any screen print experience. And for me to teach them, it'd be impossible, really. So what I'm doing instead is I've just hired somebody to sort of take over my emails, invoices and quoting, stuff like that. That's made a massive help. Because rather than me sitting on the computer till 12 or 1 o'clock before I can even start printing, like I can get into the shop now and, you know, just get printing straight away. Jasmine, I took a last on called Jasmine, and she started 3 weeks ago. And it took a bit of teaching to learn, you know, the pricing structure. Yeah. But she's got it now. She's pretty much nailed it. And yeah, it's a bit of a dream, actually, because it's the first time in about 9 years that I don't even open my inbox.
Yeah. So, the funny thing is we talk to printers, all kinds of printers, and it's always funny when we all talk about the first time or when they got to the point where they finally hired like a personal assistant or somebody to take over their emails or quotes or something like that. And every single printer has that smile on their face of like, you could tell that they had this huge weight lifted off of them of like, I didn't know this was possible.
Yeah. I think it's hard to let go.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's what I mean. But now when you do it and you realize how awesome it is, you're like, it's so much better.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's hard to let go, but also it takes so much longer when you're trying to do both things. You know, because you get interrupted, whether it's you're trying to put a quote or put together a quote and you get a phone call or something, or you're trying to print and you get a phone call or you got to get a quote out, and, you know, everything takes twice as long when you're set up like that. Mm-hmm. And what's, I think for us anyway, what's so important is the speed to quote. Like we don't mess around. So like, you know, we literally are emailing back within an hour. However, we're getting ready to change how we send quotes. We've been working for, is it a week? I think about a week so far on a different way to quote. So now we're sending an email. We have a quote signature that's already built out, like a template, let's say, and we just fill out some, you know, whatever, like a custom quote, whatever the specifics are for that quote. And what I realized, like that was easy for us to do, but as a customer receiving it in your email, I don't think is the best way, you know, because me personally, for example, like if I give out my email, I mean, I don't check my personal email every few minutes. I don't have a notification telling me even that I got an email. And when I do check my email, there's like 60 emails there, you know, and it's, how am I going to catch, like, for example, Shirt Kong's quote? And so we're creating a web app and we're going to try it differently and see how it goes. And we should have something together by the end of this month. So 30 days.
What is it? Is it a program that you're trying to use?
I don't know. Because I hired somebody to do it, but yeah, okay. I think so. Actually, that was a friend of mine. So.
That was like, and we've talked about Bruce and Pratabo and stuff, but that was one of the big selling points for me was like, you can set up an invoice and it emails them and it automatically does like the automations of like sending them, you know, all the stuff they would need to pay the invoice, everything they need to do, but also immediately sends them a text. But you were talking about that text thing. So to me, it was like the same thing like you're saying is like, we would email a customer and most customers like know you're getting an email because you've already been talking back and forth. But like to just have that extra step of like, we pinged you on your phone too. Like nowadays, 99.9% of people have their phone sewn to their hand. So like to instantly get it in your phone and be like, oh, I could pay for it or approve or whatever.
Right.
What are you using? Are you doing anything at your shop or is it just emails?
Yeah, just emails. So I use the accounting software Zero, and then it sends an invoice through the software.
Right.
But I did hear, Andy, that you were saying about the the automatic text invoicing. Like that to me is just genius because, like you say, everybody's on the phone like all the time. And nowadays you can pay by just like double tapping the volume button. So like if you get an invoice through and if you can use like Apple Pay, like you could be paid in minutes.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think if you've got like an app that's where you can, you build your quote, upload your artwork, say, well, I want this many, and then double tap that Apple Pay button, man, you're laughing because you're going to be getting, getting pings all day. You need to be first to the market to get that one. That's the one.
Like I'd be interested to know like how many quotes we've sent for just like people who are really busy. You know what I mean? Like they wanted to order shirts, but they just like they might have been in the mood to be like, oh, I want to order shirts for my business. And then the more time went on, they were like, maybe later. Like if we would have got everything to them like instantly and they were still in that like hyped mode of ordering, if they would have just paid, like how many have we lost over time to just like them not getting it fast enough? You know what I mean?
Well, that's one of the things that what we're creating, this web app, is going to be able to track conversions, so it'll have data that'll say, oh, you sent out 100 quotes and 50 of those people ended up, ordering. And so we'll know like the conversion rate of our quotes and we'll say, well, why? And then you can compare it, month to month or year to year. And you can say, well, that's weird. Why are we down this month? Is it that our pricing is too high or, like what is the reason? And so it'll give you, I think we've never really cared before because we've been so busy we can't keep up. It's like, what do I give a shit if I send out a quote and nobody orders? I don't care because we're in overtime. Doesn't matter. We were that kind of busy. I probably should have cared a little bit, but I didn't. We were just so busy. But now, because everything's different, pandemic and all, I've taken a hard look at quoting. The past few weeks, I've been spending so much time just on sales and in building those relationships more than I've done in years. And so it's a learning experience. I have a friend that does this for much larger companies. We're a small kind of thing for him, but he's doing it for us. He's mapping out our processes and making this all flow better. And he's, like usually they charge like big bucks for that kind of project, but he's just doing it for me. Right. And we're excited. So we'll see where it goes. I hope it. My hope is that it just improves our quoting process. And then also it'll give us that data that we'll be able to, make decisions.
Speaking of data, I mean, we probably should just talk to Tyler because he's the king of all data.
Right. He is the king of data. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this works out for us.
It's funny really because you obviously on like totally different levels, your shop's up here and I'm down here, but what you've just described is exactly what I've just started doing. So the girl I've just employed, Jasmine, I've asked her to basically, so whenever she sends a quote, I've set up a little reminder. So maybe like every 7 days, anybody who hasn't got back, I've asked her to actually, just manually email them and say, I hope you got your quote okay. And if you went elsewhere or, if there was anything wrong, can you just let us know? It just in a polite way to just ask for a little bit of feedback because you, like you say, when you're so bit like, I've been so busy at the press and up until now, if a quote doesn't get paid, like it's almost like you don't forget about it, but it's like almost like you don't really care because I'm too busy.
Right. It just gets swept under the rug. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But now I've got somebody, sat at this computer, like I can actually get her to do that for me. And hopefully that, that'll grow.
It's just funny too, because it's like you, Andy, were saying, and I felt that too, where your employees are like, why are you trying harder and harder to get more business when we're already slammed and we're busy? But the truth of it is, it's like part of it is you just want to keep having that steady flow of stuff because you, like you said, like quarantine and you want to make sure you have more than enough work to do. But the other fact of it is just like it's probably going to make you way more efficient and have better customer service if the current customers you have and then the new ones you get have like better treatment and faster service and things that are easier for them to use. You know what I mean? Like it might be way easier for them to get stuff to their phone versus their email and stuff like that. So it's not just like a new way to try to get business. It's just making things better for this age. You know what I mean?
Well, I think speed to quote is part of that. And now that you have this person that's going to help you get those quotes out quickly, because a lot of times the person that's tasked with, getting a quote from a screen printer, if you're back to them within an hour and everything's set and you show, you have this quote together and they just want to be, done with it and have it off their desk and be on to the next thing. Yeah. And you have that quote and they're just going to go with you. And why are they going to wait till tomorrow or the next day or whatever for some other shop? Instead, they have your quote, you're ready to go, you're responsive. Okay, fine, order. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's not always price. Sometimes it's just like, dude, Danny's ready to go. I'm going to place my order and I'll move on to the next thing,
The other thing though, too, is a lot of those places, if it's a really big company, like they're kind of obligated to get multiple quotes from different companies. And like if you wait, like say it takes you like 6 hours to email them back and then 2 other companies email them back in an hour and already talk them into doing more and more stuff, like they're probably going to go with the other guy because they're already halfway through the process already.
Yeah. It's a complicated process as it is, trying to get all the information you need and invoicing it up. I mean, I was at the point where I was printing all day, then I was getting home maybe like 8 o'clock at night. I was quickly having something to eat, having a shower, and then I was opening up the laptop and having to do my emails on the night. And you don't, by that time you're half asleep, so you don't quite always get all the emails done. And I could this past few months, I just know that I've probably upset a few people because I've not got quotes quick enough. I've definitely lost money, lost orders because of it, even though I've been absolutely busy.
We're all guilty of that, though. Like,
yeah. For sure.
It's definitely.
It's just part of the process. I think every printer, especially a printer who starts, from maybe in the garage or whatever. I guess you get to the stage, and I'm at that stage at the moment where I'm just grinding all the hours out, and something's got to change, and So the first step is definitely get someone to answer your emails.
Well, it's just one of those things. It's delegate what you're not good at. You know what I mean? Like if you, like you were saying, like, I know you said it would be impossible to hire a printer. Like you probably could hire a printer and teach them, but that's your strong suit. Like, you're a quality printer, you're a good printer. So you should probably focus on, okay, I'm going to print, and then I'm not that great at the emails or getting back to people fast. That should be their first hire, like you did. Hire somebody to do that position. And then when it gets to the point where they're overworked and stressed and they're not getting to another thing, you hire another person that does the same thing and kind of takes off of the workload. So, I mean, you're doing it right. It's just.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing it right. I mean, and maybe your next hire is an assistant, that cleans screens, makes screens, these
Pre-press.
kind of things that, you don't have to, it doesn't require the training that, being a printer takes, but that person that's, making screens and all this kind of stuff, all of a sudden they're around it for long enough, then maybe they graduate up to actually printing, like start with the one color or whatever. Yep. So is that how you started? You mentioned something about a garage and now you are here. So did you start in a garage?
No, well, I actually started in my bedroom, my bedroom at home at my parents' house. But I didn't start screen printing. I actually started with the heat press vinyl. It's quite a long story, really.
Give us the full breakdown.
Yeah, the long version. Yeah.
So I basically started with a heat press vinyl, a vinyl cutter and a heat press. And I actually used to do knockoff T-shirts. So when I say knockoff, I mean like band T-shirts.
You're not the only one. We've talked to multiple people who have done that.
I know, and I used to sell them on like eBay or Amazon or whatever. Oh man, and I made some good money doing it, to be honest, until I got a couple of scary letters through the post saying, well, like, we're going to sue you if you don't stop. One of them were from Jack Daniels, and so that sort of scared me. And to be honest, it definitely wasn't the right thing to be doing. But that was my way of making a bit of money to buy screen printing equipment.
Right.
which is what I did. Eventually, I sold enough knockoff T-shirts to buy an old workhorse press, a 6x6, and it had wooden pallets, and it was all warped, and there was like it'd obviously been burnt because of that. Like there was like bubbles in the plywood,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was a bee's knees. I thought it was a brilliant press, but I just didn't know any better. And I didn't even have a tunnel dryer. I had a flash dryer, which I used to try and cure shirts on the flash dryer, which I think a lot of printers did at first as well. And I just built up from there. But for a long time, for maybe the first 4 years, the majority of my income came from selling T-shirts on eBay and Amazon, which I would just make them with a heat press or whatever.
Now, when you stopped doing the knockoff, what did you do after that? Like, did you try getting legit customers, or were you just making things that were appealing still and selling them on eBay?
Yeah, so I was trying to go legit. I was trying to be legit from the start. I only got like the odd screen printing job in through the door, but the money that was coming in was nearly all off eBay and Amazon. That actually grew to a point where I had 2 employees helping me. And all of a sudden one day it came crashing down, and we got kicked off of eBay. We didn't get kicked off of Amazon, but a few months later we then got kicked off of Amazon. I had 2 members of staff that I had to pay wages, and the screen printing was bringing in like a couple £100 a month. It was not a lot at all. And at that point things snowballed and got a little bit out of control. And to be honest, like I nearly lost everything. I made a mistake of thinking I can work through this, I can make it right, and I kept on paying the 2 people I was employing. And like, to be honest, I basically got myself into a load of debt. I did it all the wrong way, basically. That really, even though that caused so much pain and so many problems for me, that was a catalyst that made me say, look, I've got to go legit. I've got to really focus on the thing that I want to be doing anyway, which is screen printing. And I didn't have a choice, really. It was taken out of my hand. But that was the best thing that could have happened, because all I could do was screen print. So I just got rid of all the vinyl, got rid of the heat presses. All I had was my little manual 6-color press, a flash dryer, and a little bit of worktop. And I just built up again. I started from scratch. Obviously, I had to do it on my own.
Now, at that point, were you in a space like you are now, or were you still out of your bedroom?
No, so I sort of stayed in my bedroom for about a year, and then I moved into a little small unit at the little business centre. So we have a business centre in the town, and we have like little units for people who are starting out. You can pay
like an incubator.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. And you pay a little bit of rent, and it gets you going. So I had this little workshop. It wasn't big; it was only a small room, but it was enough to get the 6-color carousel. And I started from scratch. And I only moved out of that unit maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And now I'm in here. So
that's awesome. I mean, and I feel like that's super important. I mean, it sucks that happened and you got a ton of debt and you had some hard times. But the truth of it is, like, I feel like if you can come out of that and have a successful business after that, it makes you a stronger person than if you kind of had easy street the whole way. You know what I mean? Because now like, don't fucking ever do that again.
Yeah. I mean, even the screen printing process, obviously I had to learn screen printing on the job. And I messed everything up doing, for the first couple of years of screen printing, I made so many mistakes. And, I had shirts that went out that came back all crumbling, and all the print had come off in the wash. And I've done everything that could have gone wrong, but I'm 20 times the printer today because of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think whenever there's a problem that comes up, I've probably already seen it, and I can tackle it. And I've also developed a thick skin. So when things go wrong, I can just work through it now. I don't go to panic stations or anything like I used to do all them years ago. So it's been a real tough oh God, I mean, I really have done it the hardest possible way, I reckon. But I'm better for it now.
That
Definitely.
rules. Yeah. Now, what I want to really know is your list when you started this company, because everybody does it. They make a list of like their top 5 company names that they want to call their company. When you landed on Flippin' Sweet, what else was on that list?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me this, to be honest.
Because I'm hoping the story goes like this: is, oh, this is Flippin' Sweet, and then you're like, that's what I'm going to call my company.
Yeah, well, it's not that good, to be honest. Like when I tell you this, like you probably won't even believe me, but it literally came to me in a dream. I swear to God. I knew I was going to set up this little business, and halfway through a dream, middle of the night, the business was called Flippin' Sweet. And I woke up, and as awful a name as it is, and how terrible it is, I thought, I'm just sticking with it.
I think it's awesome. I think it's great that you did it. Yeah, it's good. It's just funny. Like some people go certain ways. Like some people try to find like a creative name that nobody has, so they stand out. And then some people try to do something that's meaningful. And some people go the route of like, let's just make something rad so that like it sticks with people. They smile when they say it.
Yeah.
Like you have to smile when you say Flippin' Sweet. Like, yeah, I get my shirts printed at Flippin' Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a bittersweet name, really. I like it and I hate it. And I hate it because every now and again people ask me like if I sell sweets, which you don't call it sweets in America, do you? What do you call it?
I guess sometimes.
Candy. You got you do have sweets as well. Yeah.
Oh, because over there it's just sweets is generally what you call it, right?
Candy. Yeah, candy. Right. Yeah. So I actually I was in my van. I had a van. And I had my logo on the side.
Ooh, that sounds bad.
Yeah, I ain't got it anymore. But
you can't. That's the thing is you can't get a work van now. You have to have like a truck or a car.
Yeah.
You can't have the candy van.
Yeah, well, this is what it is. I was in McDonald's drive-through, and somebody literally got out of the car, walked up to my window, and said, "Oh, do you sell sweets?" I'm like, no, I don't. But yeah, it was getting that bad. So
he said, "Yeah, I do. Get in."
Yeah.
And then drove away really fast.
Yeah, I'm not allowed outside ever since.
I don't know. I think it's a memorable name, So
yeah.
I mean,
it did. That's what I mean. It works for sure.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, right? Is you're branding yourself is to have something that you can remember. I thought anyway, and so I didn't want people to forget. Like, what were they called again? I can't think of it, and so. I think once you hear your name, you remember it. So it works.
I hope so, yeah. I mean, it was pure accident, unless it was like some divine intervention. I don't know. But yeah.
So it's funny, like we do a lot of stuff for like contractors and builders and stuff. And almost all of them, like 90% of them are like their initials and then contracting or plumbing. Yeah. It's like, they're like, I can't think of a name. It's going to be like PLC contracting. It's like, dude, that name sucks.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think I have the corporate image, so I didn't want to go for a corporate name. Like I think you've got to show a little bit of your personality in your branding, and if you want to call it.
Speaking of corporate image, this might be the perfect time to talk about sole proprietor versus LLC versus incorporated. And so I don't know how they do it in England. So maybe this is a terrible time to talk about it, but I know that here in America, we have 3 different ways that we can have our business classified. And those 3 ways are how we're taxed and things like that. Yeah. And I was just talking to Dylan and it surprised me. Any
possible dirt Andy can get on me, he tries.
No. So hold on a second.
Put himself up here.
Let me clarify here. So this isn't about dirt on Dylan or anything like that. This is just about information. This is information.
As soon as you put this out into the wild, something's going to happen and it's all going to come public now.
We can edit this part out. But let's talk about it anyway. Let's talk about this anyway because I think it's really important.
It's important.
It is, because a lot of times when you start out, if you're in your garage, I mean, the easiest thing to do is to be a sole proprietor. And basically it's the same thing as, your income and your personal income. It's the same, and you don't have any employees. And so what difference does it make, right? I mean, it's really not that important. And until you start making more income, because then there are tax consequences, and that's for sure. And so anyway, do they have that in England? I'm just curious. Like,
it sounds exactly the same. We just have different names to it. So sole trader. So I think sole proprietor, sole trader.
Sole trader sounds way better. It sounds like somebody from like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Not sole trader, SOUL trader.
Right. That's what I mean. Soul trader.
Yeah.
That does sound awesome.
Yeah. He collects and trades souls.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Sounds tough.
All right. Continue. Hopefully the next one's just as awesome.
Sole trader, and then what is the next one? Well, I guess you can either be a sole trader or a limited company.
That's not as cool.
No, that one's pretty boring. I can't remember what the last one is, to be honest. But I'm a sole trader. I'm a cool one. I'm a sole trader, and I never jumped into the scary company, because there's so many stipulations that comes with being a company, and so many obligations to file certain reports to the government and stuff like that. Right. It's almost better to put it off as long as you can get away with it. There does come a time where you haven't got a choice, which is probably creeping up on me, to be honest. But I'll push my luck for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think that's just it, because as a sole proprietor, or maybe the same thing, sole trader, is that your liability is not limited. So if something, you can be sued personally.
Yeah, that's true.
Or sorry, your company can be sued, and then also you personally. And so any assets you have personally, they can also is up for grabs. And so that's one of the reasons why somebody would move from a sole proprietor to an LLC, which stands for limited liability company.
Yeah.
I think, or a corporation, but I think it's company. And then there is what we are, and we're a corporation, and we elected the S. We're an S corporation because I'm not really familiar totally with the difference between C and S, other than if you're a C corporation, it's usually for larger companies with a lot more shareholders. And also then you're exposed to double taxation. So the corporation is taxed, and then you personally are also taxed again on that same money. And so you don't want that. S corporation just passes through, and that's what we are. And
shit.
It's just passes right through the system.
Right.
But it's also really important tax-wise, because as an S corporation, like as a sole proprietor, you have to pay what's called in America, you have to pay a self-employment tax.
Yeah.
And the self-employment tax is like our Social Security and Medicare, and you have to pay that on everything, like every dollar that you earn. Whereas an S corporation, you just pay that on your, you already pay it. The company pays it, matches it, and then you personally pay it.
Yeah.
And so it's only on what your wages you have, and then the rest is just distributed in it. So it's different. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was really important to mention, because I found out Dylan.
Well, hold on. Andy called me the other day because Shirt Show we're trying to do as legit as possible, and we have it as like a company or whatever, and we're doing the taxes and everything else. So Andy calls me the other day with he prefaced with, "This is going to be a horrible call, and you're not going to like it because we're going to talk about taxes." And then he asked me about what I had paid into stuff, because I buy stuff like stickers and stuff for Shirt Show and all this other stuff. So we were talking about that. And then he was like, "Oh, like the company pays for it, and then like you pay yourself or whatever, right?" And I was like, "No, like I'm a sole proprietor. Like the company is me, and like whatever." And then he gave me the most like father speech about how he wasn't mad at me. He was just disappointed.
Yeah.
And I was like, so, all right. Well, my thing is like, and I've talked about this before, is like, I don't care at all. Like, I know it sucks as a business owner to say like, you don't look at that, and you should know the numbers, and you should know all this lingo. It's like, I really just don't give a shit. Like, in all honesty, I don't care at all.
Yeah.
Like pay an accountant pretty well to just be like, do everything. Like you have full power of attorney over anything that happens to me when it comes to taxes and finance and all that stuff. Literally give me a piece of paper once a week that says, have this in your account for stuff that's coming out. That's how it happens. And we had the conversation years ago about going from sole proprietor to whatever, like an LLC or an S corp or whatever. And at the time we were just like, you don't need it now. It's not that big a deal. Just ride it out.
Yeah,
and like,
I think that's a legal question, though. That's not.
But the thing is, I know, I understand that. But I'm saying is, I never questioned it, and I've never gone back to it because it's a well-oiled machine at this point, and I submit payroll every week, and she does my financials, and it's done. Like I never think about it. So when Andy called me the other day, it was like the first time in like 12 years I've been like, oh, maybe I should look at that.
Yeah.
So
you don't really. Like I think I'm probably exactly the same as you, really. Like so, I'm like Andy said earlier. As a sole trader, though, one thing you don't think is
sole trader.
if you get sued, like that's they can come take everything that I own. But whereas when you go down the route of being a company, you know, at least you might lose your company, but at least.
But I also have
house and stuff.
Exactly. I also have that personality where if anybody is going to come after my shit, I'm easily going to stand outside and just burn the fucker down.
Yeah.
Like, what are you taking?
Yeah.
Like, I would rather live.
Yeah, but you don't want to burn your house down. So like,
I'll do it.
No, that's the point. That's the point.
I'll do it if they're taking it.
I don't know. Here's the thing. Like New York may be different. Every state has their different.
Well, now that I got scolded by Papa Andy, I'm probably going to look into it and get it changed.
Probably.
But I'm just saying I have to now because if I don't, I don't get my allowance. But yeah, it's just kind of like, I'll look into it. I'll figure it out. My thing is, like I said, I want to focus on screen printing and doing the job here and having fun. And I'm a big kid and I don't want to think about taxes and fucking payments.
Well, I don't either. I don't either. So your accountant sounds like she's doing a great job. However, it's more of a legal thing. And I think that if you just get it taken care of and maybe
that's what I'm saying is I'll just, now that you said something, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Big dummy said, okay. And I will go get it done and taken care of. And then I'll forget about it again for another 20 years.
All right. So here, we're done with this part of, the episode. Take a bite of your mac and cheese, reach over and grab it.
Well, the best part of this conversation to me was that I found out that across the pond, they have Soul Trader.
I reckon
that's right.
Character in Mortal Kombat next. The next one.
I hope so. It's dressed up like a business person.
Yeah. Well, I think it should be me as a honorary. Since I've I think so. Triggered it. So yeah.
Yeah. And when he goes to finish people, you don't understand a word he says.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying.
No, you're good. You're good. It's totally fine.
All right, next.
One thing I wanted to talk about, I kind of have a couple notes that aren't necessarily for you, but I guess as us as a collective talking about is we have a pretty detailed mock-up form and proofs and everything else. And it just so happened that these two jobs were colors had to be, they were not artists by any means. They don't know what Pantones are. They don't know specifics. They're just the kind of people that look at the picture and say, it looks decent, run it. And then when they get the shirts, they're like, I don't like this color. It doesn't match my race car. And then I have to make that decision of, do I just redo the whole order, even though they approved everything and everything was good to go and I did everything right on my end? I know what your answer is going to be, Andy, is you're just going to reprint it. But do you have, like, what would you, not to the customer, but to me, talking to me, like, what would you say? Like, is there any way to, you have a better idea to fix that or mitigate that? Or you're just going to suck it up and do it?
You know what? I had literally that exact situation. And I had a customer who had like a custom 4x4 and it had like a military print, like the camouflage, but it was like bright orange and different colors. And they sent me their artwork, which obviously I pulled out of Illustrator. and they never, they didn't specify the exact Pantones or anything like that. So we sort of just used our judgment. But I actually went out of my way to sort of, look him up on Facebook and look him up on Instagram and find photos of the actual 4x4.
Right.
And so I took the artwork from the illustrator, but I made sure it actually looked like a photo of his actual his car. And when he got the shirts, he came on to me and basically, like you said, he said it doesn't match his car. He said it was nowhere near, but honestly, it was as close to them photos as you could ever get. And I always show lots of people just to get a second opinion, because sometimes you can take things to heart and your brain makes things up a little bit, and just like says you are right. But I got I checked, and in that situation, what did I do? I guess I just tried to be. You always have to be polite, and I just I sort of pointed out and said, look, I've gone out of my way to try and get this as perfect as I possibly can for you. I'm disappointed and I'm sorry that you're not happy with it. How can we make it right? I wouldn't have been happy if you said we want some more reprinting. I probably would have done it, but I'd have had to bite my lip a little bit, because it wouldn't have been reasonable. But eventually we worked on a compromise. But you can either be willing to work with them, or you can be hard-faced, because if they haven't sent you a specific Pantone, if you wanted to be that person, you could just say, look, it's tough. Like, you've not,
right.
as long as it's in your terms, you'd be well within your rights to say that.
Was that customer, had you done work for them before, or was it a first time?
It was a first time customer. Last time as well. They never came back. So, but I was more than happy that I was really proud of the print as well. It was one of those prints that I actually eventually put on Instagram, which I rarely do, because I'm always very critical of my own printing. But this was one where I thought, I've really done a good job of this, and I put it up on Instagram. And then when I got that email, oh man, it's a real kick.
My favorite is when you do something like that, like you take a picture of it and you put it on Instagram, and a ton of people like it. They're like, yeah, this rules. This is awesome. And then the customer calls and it's like, this is fucking unsellable. And like, this is awful. Like, there's no possible way I could sell this. And I'm like, here's like 600 people that like this and thought it ruled. And there's like 30 comments that say, this is a flawless print. And then you're just like, this is unsellable. It's like,
but every time they say it's unsellable, though, when you ask them to return, they always follow with, oh, well, I can only return some of them because I've already sold them. It's like, well, it can't have been that bad. It must have been. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that part.
That's the
like
best.
You said, when they've already sold through some of them, and you're like, oh, well,
yeah. These are unsellable, they're awful. Yeah, I've already sold a few.
I have two things on that, maybe three. I guess three, because the first thing is I would just fix it.
I knew.
Or I shouldn't say fix, because it was, it was like you said, you used your
had
judgment.
to tweak it.
Yeah. You went out of your way even to look on Facebook. I've done that very thing where I've gone either on their website or Facebook to try and see what their color is when you pull it up, to see if we're close and that kind of stuff. And so it looks like you were making effort anyway. So I shouldn't say fix it, but I would just reprint it. I would say, okay, well, fine. What color is it you want exactly? And then that's what we'll do. And so, because like I said, that right there is my marketing money I'm spending on making a customer happy, who's then going to be saying to people, go to ShireKong instead of don't go to ShireKong. And so I make it right. But the other two things I would say is we do a tent. I used to do this a long time ago, and I started it up again this week, where at our quality control, at the end of the dryer, if somebody catches a mistake when we send the test sprint down, if they catch an error, whether it's our fault or customers or whatever, I give a $10 gift card. And so it happened on, I don't know, this week sometime. And what it was is our proof was right, it was right in Monday. So like we run our production and our power scheduler. It was like it's in Monday. Yeah. And so the proof is pulled up. We have three things. We have a printed out proof, like a piece of paper, color printout of the proof. Then we have it on Monday pulled up on an iPad. And then we have the actual work order at the end of the dryer too. But the proof is right. It was right on the iPad, but the work order was wrong. And so what happened in this instance was that a customer wanted a front chest. And so the designer said, okay, front chest, big, right? Because that's what it sounds like. And so they sent out the proof with a front chest, like a full front chest. And the customer actually approved it. And then, but in their original order and in the notes and in the work order, it said left chest. And so the person at the quality control at the dryer, they caught it. They said, look, that says right here, left chest. And so we called the customer and said, yeah, that's what we want. And so we had to make new screens. It was a 3-color. So that's 3 screens. But I went and I just have spare Target gift cards. Do you have Target in England?
No,
it's like
no, I know what you mean. No, it's like a general store, I guess, like a big superstore.
Yeah, like a Walmart type. Do you have Walmart?
Yeah. No, I think our version is called Argos. That's
how do you say it?
Argos. Argos.
Okay. Well, Target is nicer than Walmart, so I don't know.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But anyway, so I give a Target gift card, and there's everything there. Like you can get clothes, you can get toothpaste, you can get bananas. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's all there.
Yeah. That was a good idea, actually.
So I gave, because like, in all honesty, like that saved hundreds of dollars, and so here's just this $10 as incentive, to actually, because it's one thing I think to catch it on the proof, but she actually looked at the work order and caught it, and that means you're doing your job, and so I really appreciate that, and so there's $10, and so it turns out though that person, it was a contract job, and so that contractor says, look, we've got you, just charge me for 3 screens, so we'll take the press time, we're going to kind of split it, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I don't know. So there's that. Dylan, what do you do anything like that? Or Danny, I guess you're printing your own.
He gives himself an artist gift card.
Yeah.
He's like, you earned this $10, buddy.
That's right.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's a bit of that is one of the trickiest things when you're printing everything yourself and you're doing everything else, you're doing all the visuals, etc. You've just got that much stuff to sort of think about.
It's that much more dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have those extra sets of eyes that are going over, the stuff that maybe you missed,
Yeah. I mean, I've just, I've got some, I've got a little bit of help now. I've got so this building's like 2 floors, and downstairs is where, all the screen prep happens and all the garments are sorted. And I'm just setting up a little computer. And like you, I use Monday as well. So I will put. I'm still working on it. Really, I haven't come up with the ideal solution, but some sort of system where everybody has a role and everything's sort of in line, just to mitigate the chance of any, as best as you possibly can, like you say. But I like the idea of incentive. Putting an incentive. If I get, if I spot a mistake, like definitely reward them because, they're more likely to keep an eye on it.
Right. Now that you have this help that's, I forgot you said her name was, what was her name? Jasmine. Yeah. So like, maybe you run it by Jasmine too, before you show her the test print.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, does everything match? Maybe that's the extra person, to just catch something that will kind of just double check,
Yeah. I've actually got 2 employees. I've got Jasmine and I've got Paul. I should probably say, because Paul will hate me if I don't.
What does Paul do? What's his role?
Well, earlier on when you were saying I should get somebody to help me with screens, that's literally what Paul does. I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah. So Paul washes screens and does the exposing. So I guess it is important that he sort of makes sure the films line up. Just double check everything. So. Right. It's all about systemizing and once you've got a proper system in place, it just minimizes because you just check it at every step. Whereas when it's all in my head and I'm going downstairs making screens and just, everything's all over the place, it's just too easy to make mistakes, which I've done a lot of. So
I just want to take this time to say, hey, Paul, we're proud of you.
He'll be pleased about that.
Thanks for doing what you're doing, man. Yeah, I mean, that was all good, but it didn't really help me with my situation with those two customers. I ended up just reprinting it, but I kind of put in place, just told my salespeople, like, if there's anything that's like a design that's very specific for that customer, like you can tell it's like they don't know Pantones and all that sort of stuff, but it's very specific to their company, or it's very specific to their. Both of these were race cars, which was funny to me. And we don't do a lot of race car stuff, but it was just like a very specific color on their car. I was like, get them to mail us or bring in like a swatch or a paint sample from that car so we can match it here at the shop. Like if it's that important to them, make sure we have something that we can look at and make, because this one order alone was like $2,000. Like I had to, it was like mostly hoodies and it was like a 3-color front, like 6-color back. And it's like, there was nothing wrong with them. It was just the one spot of yellow on their, well, it was like a gold color on their car was supposed to be, they wanted it, now that we're redoing it, they want to use like shimmer gold when we did it as 110C, which is like a dirty gold. And to me, it was like not enough to complain about, but they were like, when they called me, they're like, this is 100% lemon yellow and it's supposed to be gold. And I'm like, I don't think it's lemon yellow. Like there's no way. And then they brought me in a shirt and they were here when I already told them we would fix it. And I looked at the shirt. I'm like, it's not fucking lemon yellow in any sense. But I already committed to redoing it. So we're doing it. But I guess that's the only thing you can do. You know what I mean? Like if they're not going to give you a Pantone, they're not going to give you a book, but they're going to complain about the color. We got to get something from them. Like we have to get some kind of visual.
Yeah.
Other than looking at a monitor. So.
And the thing is as well, monitors are all totally different. I could send you the same file and it looks absolutely different on mine and your screen.
They're not calibrated. Yeah.
No.
Well, that's something to talk about too. I actually bought one recently. And I went through and calibrated all the office monitors. And it was pretty crazy, like how different they were from each other, or how they were before they were calibrated. Because it gives you a thing at the end to like see the difference. And the one that stood out the most, there was two of them. There's one of like a girl laying down and it was like mostly like her eyes and skin tone that you could tell. And then there was another one that was just like a picture of like somebody's backyard, like shrubs and stuff. And the girl one, it was like you could click back and forth between calibrated and not calibrated. And you would look at her and she would look really pale and weird in one. Not necessarily weird, but it looked like one way. And as soon as you flipped it to calibrated, it was like, oh, it's like her skin tone was correct and her eyes looked right and the shading in the background was right. And then the one with the shrubs and stuff in the background was like, there was so much more detail that came out. Like it was too dark before or whatever. Because I feel like most people have a tendency to like crank the brightness on their monitors or, something like that, and it ends up washing everything out. And then they have one that's like just squares of color. And then when you click off calibrated and uncalibrated, it changes those colors so dramatically. Yeah. Where it's like, now I just wanted to have that as like another thing that we can say or do to say like, all of our monitors are calibrated. Like we don't have like weird wonky monitors and we're trying to pick your color. It's like, we did everything we could do to make sure this color was correct.
Yeah. But there'll still always be that one person.
Oh, there's always going to be. I'm just saying I'm trying to get rid of that as much as possible. So I feel like I've done everything in my power to be like, they should be correct.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've got something that I think every shop struggles with. A couple of days ago, I was here and I was having a conversation with Chad. And I don't know, like a half hour in, I heard this rustling, coming from over by the trash can. And I thought it was coming from outside. So we started talking again, and then we heard it again, and we just kind of stopped and looked, and we kept hearing it. So we go over and we, like peer over and look into the trash can, and there's a mouse in there. So here's my question. He's alive and he's just like looking up at me, all cute and everything. I need it. I mean, like, you don't want it here, right? It's horrible. You want to kill it, or you set out mouse traps to kill it. But whenever you show up, the mouse is dead, And so I'm thinking to myself, I guess I have to kill this thing, but I can't do it. And so I take the trash can. I take the trash can and I take it back to the girls, and they're like, no. And so, but then we walk over and I show it to the guys in production, and we all are just like looking at it. And then one of them grabs it and then runs outside out far ass, like 100 yards away, and then dumps it in a field.
That would have been Brian at my shop. Brian will catch like bugs. Like there'll be like a spider or a fly or something in the shop, and he will like caress it and get it, and then like take it. He'll drive it like a mile away and like let it go.
So like, what are you doing?
That's not a joke. That's real. That he does that shit. Probably not with a bug, but like if it was a mouse, like he catches mice at his house with like a have a heart trap, and he drives them down the road and releases them.
It's somebody like neighbor he doesn't like or something.
Right. The thing that just fucking turns around and runs back to your house. It's like, yeah, I started doing it at my house just because both my shop, dude, the shop, there's no way you're ever going to not have like mice or squirrels or birds or something like in this building. It's too old. There's too many places for them to get in. It's not going to happen. And we've had this discussion before, how I have like families of skunks and like woodchucks and shit that like live under the building. Like there's no way I can get rid of them. But yeah, that's just like, I try as much as possible to like our kitchen area and stuff. Like there's no food like remotely out. Like if we have anything that's like chips or anything that's like half eaten, usually they're like fully closed, or it goes in like a Tupperware container. So like nothing could get in there to like snack on something. But what was that your question? Like, what do you do with an animal if it's in your shop?
Yeah, and Danny, you can pass on this too, because I don't want you to lose more people. So you can say, "Oh my God, a mouse killer!" Like what a terrible person. No. But like for real, now and if there's one, usually that means isn't the saying like if there's one, there's 10 or something. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
we put out have a heart traps.
What does that mean? So it saves them, traps them alive.
It just traps them alive, and you can go put them somewhere. So like I have some at my house because I have like an old Victorian, and like we get mice in the spring, or is it like spring or fall? One of the two that we always get mice like every year. So they're like these little green traps. They're like see-through or whatever for mice. Like you can get them different sizes, obviously, but they just have like a door you push down. And then on the other side is like a chamber that you could put like peanut butter or something in, and you slide it in. And then when they walk in, the door shuts behind them, and they can sit there and literally like they have food and air. Like they can eat that peanut butter and live in there until you like grab them and take them outside. So I have a pretty big backyard. So I just take them out to the corner of my backyard and like let them go. But that to me was way more like, we used to put out regular traps, but I have like a small dog and stuff. So I didn't want to do like poison. So we used to have regular traps, but it was just so like gross and messy. Like I don't want to come downstairs and see a mouse's head exploded. No. Like
I think I have the answer. A cat.
Move shop.
Let nature take care of it. We got a house.
Shop
cat. Yeah. And then boom, there. We don't.
I can't wait till you have a shop cat, and then you come in one day and there's little white paw prints all over the shop.
Yeah, right. That would suck.
Is that as big a thing as it is over here? Because over here, like quite a lot of the print shops have dog.
A lot of shops have dogs.
Yeah. I never understood it, but like we don't have anything, but like loads have dogs, little pet dogs.
I feel like it's mostly like just owners that have a dog that bring their dog to work every day. But like, I don't want to do that.
You mean
like,
dogs catch mice?
No, he's just saying over there's a lot of people who have shop dogs. Yeah. There's a lot of people here that have shop dogs too, but
in America, cats catch mice, but in England, it's the dogs. They chase after them. It's a little different over here.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I think the trouble with cats is how do you keep a cat in a shop? Yeah, because they like to get out, Yeah, unless you like put a long leash on or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my answer for here, like I said, is just like we over the years have tried more and more to like close the building up as much as possible. Like with renovations, like obviously we've closed like millions of holes. But just like if you keep as much stuff out, like in that trash can, there was probably food like leftovers or something that was in the trash can.
The odor of it.
Like
anyway.
if you make sure that like your employees are throwing away trash in like a tall, like we use those like 50 gallon or whatever they are trash cans, and there's an actual bag in it, like stuff they can't get into, or like all food is either in the fridge or it's sealed in something where they can't like get to it. Like the amount of like seen mice goes down like crazy. We used to have a mouse a couple of years ago, and I told you this before, how we had the trash cans but we never used bags, and the garbage people hated us because we just threw it in and they had to dump it. We had a rat in the shop once, like a big rat, and he would only steal Randy's cigarette butts. Like he'd shoot a hole, because Randy would go outside and like smoke a cigarette and put it out, and then he would throw it in the garbage can. Well, the mouse chewed a hole in the bottom of the garbage can, and he would just do nothing but chew on Randy's half-smoked cigarettes. So we had a rat with a nicotine addiction.
That's awesome. All right, I need intermission.
I
got two things. I got to pee, and I got to put my contact keeps falling out. I got to give me 1 minute.
All right, you got to break too, man. If you got to pee, do it now.
Can I pee too?
Yep, go.
Some of the early episodes, I'm pretty sure this was like banned, so I appreciate the change.
No, you're good now. Apparently now they're like 3 hours long, so we all need pee breaks.
Awesome. I don't know whether I want to. I don't know what level I want to get it to. Whether because I'm in a kind of an obscure little small town. If I was situated in one of the bigger cities, I'd like to be, I'd like to be an auto shop with maybe a few people. I'm probably looking at it as more as almost like a tradesman, like a plumber or an electrician. I just chose to be a printer, and that's probably what I want to do for the rest of my life. I think I'll probably, I'd like to do that with an automatic machine. I'd like a couple, a bit of help doing all the other stuff, which I'm not so good at. But I think ultimately I just want to be a printer for as long as I can, really.
Yeah. And honestly, that's a decision I had to make too. Like I'm in a real small town, but like I just made the decision of like, this is the kind of work I want to do. You know what I mean? And like, I just doubled down on that. Mm-hmm. So I'm the same. Like I'm not in a city where I'm just getting constant work, like people in the city looking for stuff to be done. Yeah. I have to go find it. Like if I want it, usually it's word of mouth, somebody coming to me, or I have to go hit them up. Because if I don't do that, I'm not getting nothing. Like nobody's coming here. No. You know what I mean? It's like if you were really good at one thing, people are going to start coming to you for that one thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is for me. If I relied on local work, I wouldn't be here, because we don't get any. It's not this type of. It's not. They don't want the type of product that I make, really.
Right.
But that's almost my disadvantage against some of my competitors. They're based in major cities, and they've almost got that leg up because they're always going to have that local work. So it's up to me to almost, like you say, that word of mouth. I've almost got to be better. I've got to make sure my prints are as the top quality as I possibly can.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, I think that's the trick, and because I just have to work that little bit harder to get orders in. But in the same breath, I don't think I wouldn't say I'm unhappy about that, because, like I say, I don't want to be a massive company.
But that's the other thing. It's a grass is greener thing too. Like we could look at it because we're there now of like, oh, I would love to be in a city. I would love to have constant work coming in. I would love to have this, this and that and the other thing. Yeah. But the truth of it is like they have hardships too. Like being in a city costs like 10 times as much as it costs us. Yeah. Like,
well, I guess the coronavirus stuff is obviously, like you say, the shops in the bigger cities, they are, like you say, they've got the overheads, and it's cost them, and whereas I've got away with it, so it sort of swings and roundabouts a little bit.
Right.
But definitely, yeah.
So it's a catch-22 thing, but you just kind of need to pick and choose what you want to do, I guess.
Yeah, I think once you've got to know where you're going, and for me, I don't think I'm going to be that shop that has a couple of autos and people doing all the printing on my behalf. And I just don't think that's me. I don't think it's in my character. I don't know if I'm really got the ability to do that. I'm not a people manager. I can manage a couple of people, the best I can, but I couldn't imagine the stress of managing, a whole group of employees. I don't fancy that.
The idea is to get people, again, it's one of those things like you'll have to get over, but it's getting somebody in there that's like-minded, that cares about the company too, that's good at what they're doing. Then you don't have to manage them. You just have to let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And trust that they're going to do that thing. You know what I mean? That's the same with me. Like I said, I'm not a printer. Like I know how to print, but I don't do that every day. Like I have to trust that the people I hire and have got to where they are can hold their own. And then I don't have to really think about it. Like now when I walk into the shop, I'm not walking around constantly being like, what are you doing? How are you doing with this? What are you doing with this? It's like I literally sit at my desk and I do my own thing. And then when something happens, it's usually just an error that somebody comes to me and is like, can you help me fix this? Only because I'm the owner. Like they wouldn't come to me if I wasn't the owner. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. Like they know you need to make a judgment call.
Yeah.
So
I think it's
hard. You just need to find somebody that's like-minded.
Yeah. I think that's the goal with Jasmine and Paul. I want them to both come into the shop and literally I don't have to tell them what to do. They know what needs to be done. And like you say, it's just part of it. It's just a cog in the system, and we all have our jobs, and each one, whatever. And once I get to that position, I just want to be left alone to print.
Well, I think you're pretty much there. It's just a matter of letting it in over the next year or two.
Yeah, it just takes a bit of time, I think.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, Edie, did you have a good pee, man?
Well, I did that for just a sec. It was more about my contact, man. I was kicking my butt. I think I got it figured out. I got a new one in. Yeah. So
I didn't even know you wore contacts.
Well, there we go. You're learning something new about me every day, Dylan. Every day. I have something to add to that. I think that I didn't plan to be the size we are, so I feel you. Like I can totally relate to what you were saying about, you're not sure if it's in your character to manage people, or you're not sure if you want to even manage people, like you're doing your thing. Dylan, you're doing your thing, you do what you want to do during the day. And this sort of just happened. Like I didn't.
Right. No, I totally didn't have a plan either. It just happens.
It happens. And I think it happened because
snowball over time.
I was talking to somebody else about this. I was talking to actually Tiny Fish, Tony. Like how did it happen that, that sounded delightful. What do you got there?
Anytime you open a can, you have to crack it open. You can't just slowly open it.
I think that this is just, it just happened. Like I said, because we were pursuing, a certain level of quality and excellence maybe. And so, the orders kept coming and we couldn't keep up with them. And so we would add equipment, like we would say, okay, well, cool. Let's just get this piece of equipment. And not all at once though, it just just incremental, got more equipment. And then when that equipment, we couldn't keep up, we maybe added a person. And so, hey, what if we got a full-time person in shipping and receiving, because before we were just kind of the account managers or, people like that would just go back and check in their own orders or whatever. And it got to a point where their quality of life wasn't any good. And they're like, look, I can't check in all my orders. I got emails, I got all this kind of stuff I got to take care of. I can't go back there. And so, okay, fine. Let's hire a full-time shipping and receiving. And so we have that, a person that works full-time in shipping and receiving, and then she can't even check in and all in. And so she needs help and you know what I mean? And so like, it sort of just happens. And I think that maybe it was that I didn't know where I would be happiest at. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be happiest at 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 25. Where are we happy? I guess is what it kind of comes down to. And that maybe is, when I say we, I should say, where is it? If I say, where am I happiest at? Maybe that's a little bit selfish, because your team all of a sudden expects a certain level of I don't know, maybe it's volume or just sort of quality, and you have to add equipment for that. And they have all of a sudden kids, and they have mortgages and all this sort of stuff, and they want to continue to grow. Otherwise, they're maybe maxed out and as far as like their compensation. And so you sort of just end up in this thing where it's not just me anymore. Maybe that's the best way to describe it. This isn't just Andy and my Andy's t-shirt shop, where it used to be. And there's a whole lot of people that, there's somebody that's been here. There's several that have been here 10 years. And so that's a big deal, and I was just thinking of that the other day because this person had a 10-year and he made this really cool, I should grab it and show you. He made this Joanne draws on our pay stubs. Almost
that was
like
awesome.
Not every time, but a lot of times. And he has been here 10 years and he's collected like his favorites. I got to show you this. It's incredible.
Was it just his favorites or was it all of them?
Not all of them. Well, she doesn't draw on every one. So I don't remember.
No, I know about every one that she did draw on.
Check this thing out. It's insane. Like this whole thing. I'll put one close up so you can see. Like, see that purple one right there? That was when Prince died, and she did it's all relevant too. It's not just random. Was I holding it upside down? I think I was.
We couldn't see it anyway, so.
But anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah.
And
did he give it to Joanne?
Yeah. Like it's right here. So I don't know. The point I was trying to make is that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The point I was trying to make is that I thought like his 10-year. Shouldn't I get him like a gold watch or something? Is that what people do? Because
Dude,
think
I've
about
struggled.
that. Like
I've struggled with that.
Well, because to replace him and all that experience and everything, it would take, just as you were saying, Danny, it's going to take a year or two or maybe more to get all that experience. And what's that worth? Like he's still here after 10 years, like, hey, thank you. Here's a gold watch. Is that what people do? So I got to go get one.
Yeah. Well, Chris and Brian have been here too for like almost 12 years now. And it's like at 10 years, Chris was bugging me like for like 2 years up to that. He's like, are we going to get like jackets? Are we getting like a ring? Or, what are we going to get? And I was always like, yeah, we'll do something. We'll do something. And here we are at like almost 12 years. And I'm like, I still never got anything for the 10-year. At one point I was like, no joke, like going to like get them both like custom bikes, like choppers or something.
Oh, wow.
And I looked into it too, of like buying like the parts and like getting them together. Cause do they
watch this? Do they watch this podcast?
Well, they won't watch it. No, they get enough of me during the work week. They're not going to fucking watch 3 hours of me speaking. But it's just like, it's hard because you're like, what do I get them that's meaningful? And it's kind of like you said, I don't want to just get them some bullshit. I don't want to get them a $10 Target card. I want to get them like
something personal,
something that they have forever. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
yeah, but really, I think it matters. I think what happens and what happened for me is that we grew, I think, to a size that was too large team wise that I really liked. And we're a little smaller now. It's not that we deliberately downsized. It just sort of happened over time. And I like it. I think we probably need to add a few more. But like you said, it's all about like, what is your, I guess, life work balance and also your happiness? Like, where are you happy? Are you happy with 2 autos in a dryer, 5 autos, 6 autos, 20 autos, or no
300
autos?
employees.
Yeah, 300 employees, and so it kind of comes down, I guess, to that. And I know that I think I've figured out where we're happiest at. And, just because you're bigger doesn't mean you're going to be happier. And 100% accurate. So good thing you have a
size doesn't matter. You heard it here.
It doesn't. You heard it on the shirt show.
There was something I wanted to talk to you, Danny, because I was doing my usual research on what I wanted to talk to you about, and your website rules.
Oh, really? Well, to be honest, it's sort of half broken at the moment.
Oh, well, all right.
But I appreciate it. I Oh, thank you.
Well, the thing is I'm very critical. It's funny because I have a buddy who owns a company. It's a very successful company that they just build websites. Like he's one of those guys too that has like 40 employees. It's all coders and stuff. And that's all they do is they make websites for all these big companies. And I go in there every so often and I sit down with them and, you know, they have all these big ideas and like what's, you know, popular today with like, and you can see the trends too in like websites where before it used to be like 8-10 years ago, it used to be like everything kind of in the middle and then nothing was like all the way to the outside. And then like 2 or 3 years ago, everything was super blown out and it was like just stacks of huge photos and stuff. And then it was like the backgrounds of video and stuff. And it's like, I can't do that stuff. Like I don't want to me, it's like, I want you to be able to go to my website and immediately know how to do everything. Like, oh, you click here if you want to like get a quote, you click here if you want to place an order, you click here to pay, here's our portfolio, and this is our contact info. Not like 35 pages of just like, we like to play tennis on the weekends. It's like, who gives a fuck? Like they're here to order shirts. I think the rule is if somebody lands on your website and they can't get to where they want in three clicks, like they'll leave. So that's what you kind of have to work towards. Well, the thing is like right now I'm literally like, I redid my site maybe like 3-4 years ago now. And I really need to update it a little bit. Like I like the way everything is. I just think I need like new photos because all the photos and stuff out of there are like the way our shop was like 4 years ago. So like I need to change all that. I want to add some features. I want to add some videos we've made of like things. But I was looking at your website and I was like, shit, I'm going to need to use this as reference because like I like how clean it is and I like how you've got it laid out. So I just wanted to give you props for how your website looked, man. It was good.
Yeah, awesome. I actually built it myself as well. So
well, do this.
Hell yeah. But it's like I appreciate it even more because at the moment I look at it and it's winding me up because it's a mess in my head. I've been sort of chipping away at it for years now, and in my head it's like a half finished website. I mean, literally last night I was actually sat working on it, but I guess that's one of those where, you know, like you just do everything yourself, you know, and maybe I should have just passed it on. But I actually, if I hadn't have been screen printing, I think web design was something I might have gone, you know, if I'd have gone a different route, that's maybe what I would have gone to do. So,
well, we were talking about this a little bit. I think it was maybe it was on Clubhouse, but I thought we were talking about it at book club, but it's like, I'm kind of learning that now where it's like, if you want to get anything done, especially as an owner, you have all these big ideas of like a website rebuild or all this other stuff. It's like, just do like a page or like do little by little. Like if you were looking at it as a whole website, it's like, okay, I would have to sit down for like a week to knock it out. But if I can just be like, today I'm going to do the portfolio page, like I'm just going to get that shit done. And so I feel like chipping at it is the only way I'm going to get it done. And I need to do it now. Like I've been putting it off for like 6 months now because I'm like, oh, we're going to get the offices done so I can get somebody here to take photos of that stuff. And it's like, I just need to do it or I'm never going to get it done.
Do you guys look at any analytics on your site? So like a bounce rate, for example, because the person who is helping us with that web app I'm talking about, you know, for quoting, he's like, what's your bounce rate? And I was like, I don't know, dude. Like and so I really want to know though, because I want to know how many people end up on our website and then how many people, for example, then ask for a quote. So if you know what I mean? So I would really love to know if it's effective and doing its job. I mean, I know that we get quotes from it every day, but do 1,000 people land on our website and only 10 people get quotes? Because that's probably not a good bounce rate. You know, they get confused or whatever.
I think in the beginning when I first had our website, it was super important to me, and I was always checking Google Analytics and like looking at the chart and like, oh, somebody in Australia went to our website, or you know what I mean, like checking every little thing. And again, to me, it's just one of those things where eventually it's too in the weeds. Like it's too, I know my website is decent and I know it works and I know people come to it and do what they got to do. That's really all I'm looking for in a website. Like I know there's people that are making like ClickFunnels and like making sure all their SEO is perfect and all this other stuff. And it's just like, I just don't have it in me. Like I don't have the bandwidth to be like, I'm going to sit here and tweak this. But again, like you said, you have a buddy who can do it. So
yeah, Danny, when you go to look at your analytics, you're going to get a lot of people
upstate New York,
upstate New York, looking at your website, like, oh, that's kind of odd, you know?
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah. No,
And Andy, you ran into this not that long ago. If you want to get into it a little bit, of somebody copying your website word for word.
Oh, it's happened.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm going to do to him. I'm just going to copy his entire website and put my own photos in.
To be fair, that's all I did, to be honest. I didn't just copy it, but like you take inspiration.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
No, everybody does that. But as long as you change it, you change up the wording and you change up the photos. Yeah. Don't just copy it completely.
No.
Yeah, which by the way, you can copyright your website. And because I went and I approached like, what are we going to do about this? And my attorney said, and I wouldn't have cared if it wasn't that they're in the same state as me. Like it's, if they're in Yorkshire, I'm like, whatever, have, copy the website.
Yeah.
But, but they're pretty close. And so I was like, well, this sucks, like I just don't want anybody to get confused and think that maybe I copied theirs or whatever. And so I contacted the attorney and he's like, I don't want to waste your money. You can copyright this website. It doesn't really matter, because you can why don't you just start with a letter, just send them a letter, paragraph long, and tell them that, look, I have this is my website and you have the same wording word for word. And, don't do that and see how they respond. Because, and I said, well, I don't know. Like, what if they say that they had it first? And guess what I found out? There is an actual service or website that takes a picture of every single website in the world every year or whatever, or more. And you can go there and look at the archives. And so I was like, oh, really? That's so cool. So I went there. They told me the site to go to, and I went there, and that wording that I have up there, it goes back as far as 2014. And so it's like, and it has a picture of it. So like it's proof, you know what I mean? That mine was there at that point. And so anyway, I haven't sent anything yet because I'm like, I don't know, I got other things. Kind of like what you said, I'm just busy doing my thing. And so I don't even know if I will send anything, but it's still just a little bit irritating. I like the fact if somebody's inspired by our website, which I don't know why they would be. Our website's a little bit, probably needs an overhaul at this point. But if they are inspired by our website, cool, but don't get so inspired that it's just the same.
Yeah.
Like that's not good.
The good thing is, though, I think Google actually knows if somebody's copied your text from your website, Google knows that this person's copied it because it sees duplicates.
For real?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain this is a thing. So that person's website who has been copy and pasting won't get ranked or won't get ranked very well. So at least it won't be
justice. Internet justice.
I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
They're like, nobody's ever been to our website. That's weird.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Copy it word for word.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got a question. I checked out your Instagram and you do a lot of biking.
Yeah. Mountain biking.
So mountain biking, is that what it is?
Yeah. Mountain biking. I mean, you say I do a lot of mountain biking. I don't really do a lot, to be honest. I don't get time. But when I do, I like to go.
He just gets his bike out of the garage, takes a selfie, puts it back in the garage, gets back to burning.
Yeah. We have a local forest. It's called Dorby Forest, and it's about like a 25 mile loop. And it's in summer. If I finish work about 5 or 6, which I'm hoping to do more this year, I can go on an evening and just squeeze in a lap before sunsets. Yeah, it's always nice to get away from shop and get out on the bike.
Yeah, I love it. I love biking too. And where we used to live, we could just jump on our bikes and go from our front door, and go to, like you said, sort of like parks and stuff like that. Where we are now, though, it's not quite the same. And so I need to get a bike. We tried throwing the bikes in the back of the Jeep without proper, bike rack. It's not good. Like it fucks up the bikes and all that. And so I have to get a trailer hitch, which I went to go do, but apparently because of the pandemic, everybody else did. And so there was no trailer hitches for my Jeep anywhere in the country, like anywhere.
No.
And so they just came back in stock, I heard, though. And so I'm going to try and get a trailer hitch so I can get a bike rack.
It's same over here. Any sort of bike parts, or if you want to buy a bike, apart from the fact that the price has doubled, you just can't get hold of the stuff because everybody's got the same idea. And same with gym equipment. As soon as all the gyms show,
right.
all the equipment's like tripled in price, and it's always out of stock. It's so at least somebody's made money out of it, you know.
Somebody just asked me that question. That shop tour I gave yesterday. They just we were talking about supplies and how you probably guys. I don't know if you got letters. Like a few of the distributors sent out stuff, and they're like, "Hey, guess what? Price increase on April 1st or whatever."
Yeah,
it's not April Fools. It's for real.
7%
or 10% or 12%. And so somebody asked me yesterday, they said, so are you going to raise your prices? Are you passing that on? And I said, we don't have plans to do that. Like not yet, anyway.
This perfectly led into my next question, which is what I did yesterday.
We are on the same wave.
So fucking, it's one brain. You're the left half, I'm the right half.
Yeah. So finally, I'm like, we are probably as smart as like the average man. We got both our brains together.
Tell me what finger I'm holding up right now.
The not middle.
How many?
One.
What one?
your middle.
Perfect. You had it.
What was your next question?
We got the gauntlet like a year ago or whatever, and I never updated the pricing chart to show like how many more colors we could do now. And the other day we had a discussion about something where we made a rule at some point, like if somebody wants like a 10 color, they have to get at least like 50 shirts, like no more like 12 piece, 10 color jobs or whatever. So Sarah came in and we talked about it, and I was updating our pricing chart, like adding more colors and all this other stuff. And then I also texted some of our buddies there and said, is anybody upping their prices this year because of not like the print cost pricing or whatever? Like, are you raising your prices? And a couple of people said they didn't think they could because they were already pretty high. But people are complaining about price, but I haven't changed my prices in quite a while, and I don't have as much overhead as some shops, so I don't really have to worry about it as much. But like, I was like, I should probably raise my prices a little bit. So yesterday I went through and I, tweaked some stuff. I didn't go crazy, but like, I feel like what I raised was like the small stuff, like the 12 to 24 piece, the 24 to 50 piece. I raised that stuff because again, it's one of those things like put out there, like what you want to get. Like, I don't love the super small orders all the time. Sure. So I'm going to raise the prices up a little bit. And that's what I wanted to ask you guys was like, are you planning on, especially now, like you said, all of our supplies went up 7 to 10% or whatever. Like technically you probably should raise your prices, but I literally just have done it. I mean, I don't know how you do it. Do you, so like for garments, if you invoice it, is the garment charged separately? Or do you encompass it all?
It's included. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way I do it, I'll invoice each line. So I'll have a setup fee for the screen. I've just added an artwork fee. And then you'll have the individual print costs. So
we do that too. So we'll do like Gildan or Bella Canvas 3001 small. Here's the line item like that. If you have 15 of them, this is the price. If you have,
that's right.
But it's like per shirt, like this is what the cost is, and then it has the total. But I do the same thing, like a fee or whatever. But also too, like I said, I might have raised prices a little bit, but I also got rid of some stuff. Like in our history, this will be the first, but like now I just said no screen fees no matter what. Like we used to charge screens still for like under 100 pieces. We would still like charge that fee. Now that I raised some stuff and tweaked some stuff, I kind of evened it out, and I just said, all right, like free screens for everything now. So like we're not even going to bother with that fee anymore. And there's a couple other things I tweaked here and there because I didn't want to make it like we just raised everything, because we didn't. Like for most orders, it's going to be the same. But for
under
stuff
50,
that's like
basically under 50 quantity,
right? Under 50, it's kind of like, we get kind of taken advantage of sometimes because they know we can do like cool prints or high color stuff. And they're like, well, I'm starting a clothing line. I want this like 8 color front, 10 color back, but I only want like 14 of them. And it's like, like I need to charge more for that stuff. So
I'm quite impressed that you would do 14 for more than one color. Like if I if I do a single color print, the bare minimum I would do is 10, but any more than one color, at least 20. Because
right now we'll do a 6 color front, 6 color back on 12 shirts.
Oh, man.
Or we'll do that on, and then I had it to where if it's over an 8 color, it's got to be 24 to 50, and then anything over 50 can be up to a 12 to 14 color print or whatever. But like I said, it's charged accordingly. It's not like we're not making money on those. Like if you're getting 12 shirts with like a 10 color front, 10 color back, that's gonna be an expensive shirt.
Yeah, definitely.
But still, it's kind of like, you need to. It's not necessarily to deter them from ordering. It's to make them want to get 25 to 50 instead of 12. The thing is, I tell almost every customer who's like starting a clothing line or whatever that orders 12 shirts, it's like by the time you're done giving yourself a couple and your friends and buddies and mom and stepsister a shirt, like you're gonna have no shirts left.
Yeah,
especially because you're spreading it out between 6 sizes.
Man, it's not often we ever bust 10 colors. I mean, I can't remember. Like we get so much done with 7 and 8 that I'm trying to think of a job we've done that's over. I mean, it's just so rare. You know what I mean? So I think that, our price, we'll do 8 colors on 10 shirt. Our minimum is 10, which we should probably raise, but like you said, we have it priced accordingly, but still I don't think it's priced good enough, because you put so much effort into 8 colors.
Like you make the screens, you do this whole thing, and it's like Pantoning and everything else.
And then what? But we're pretty fast at setting up, so I just don't know. It isn't very often that somebody orders 8 color on 10 shirts. It's just pretty rare. But
that's what I said. That's the rule. Is that's not happening. Like we're not doing that. We're doing like 6 or less.
That's smart.
I like 12 that. Or whatever, and then 50 it goes up to 8, and then at 100 it goes to whatever you want to do.
That makes sense.
But
I like that.
But it's just like I said. It's what point do you? Like I said, you're trying to weed out the stuff that it's just like it's not worth your time to do, and it clogs up your schedule for stuff that is really important, and you're really good clients and all this other stuff. So that was just my question: is if you guys tweaked your pricing this year?
I have not. Danny?
Yeah, I've literally just tweaked it for the first time in probably about 4 or 5 years. So part of, obviously, I mentioned Jasmine and Paul. There's a guy in the UK called John, and he does color separations, and he's like a wizard. I've started passing on any artwork just straight to John. So he charges me an invoice at the end of every week, and he sends me the color separations rather than me sitting on the computer for hours doing it all myself. But obviously that comes at a cost. So I've added a £50 artwork fee to any order with new artwork. But to sort of offset it, I've brought my screen charges down a notch. So overall, most invoices are working out at like 30 quid more, which is about $30. So it's not made a massive difference, but I have adjusted it a little bit. But I mean, things like garment prices are going up because we've got something over here, which I don't know about, called Brexit, which is basically we're leaving the European Union, and importing goods has become expensive and tricky. So the price of garments is going up, but obviously I just adjust that on the invoice. So that fluctuates anyway. My actual print prices are the same. It's just the setup fees. But I think you've got to adjust it. You can't just. It's easy to. The thing is,
there's inflation too. You got to think. It's like you can't just keep your prices that forever. Like every couple of years, you should adjust a little bit.
Yeah,
it's not like you're jacking it up like $2 per location or something. It's like you're going up like cents.
Yeah, everything's getting more expensive. So like if you don't put your prices up, you're basically putting them down, aren't you? Really? So yeah, you got to adjust it every now and again.
Yeah. Well, is it that time, Andy, where we see if he's got any questions for us? Or
yeah, let's do it.
All right. I have. Do you know what? I've watched every episode.
Hell yeah.
And all the questions and all the shop hacks that I had in mind, like they've nearly all been taken. So I thought I'd ask a couple of non-print related questions and then one print related question. So I wanted to ask Andy what his favourite band is, and I wanted to ask Dylan what your favourite Xbox game is, because I know you're an Xbox man.
That's good.
And then I've got a print related question.
Go ahead, Andy.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That's really tough. Favorite band. I've had a different favorite band throughout my life, probably. Once upon a time it was Nirvana. I just loved, everything about Nirvana, but I still do. Another favorite, a band that I've seen most in live, I've been to more than 10 of their shows, is Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I love, but the thing is, I don't listen to that as much anymore. So I don't know, I still do. I go back to it sometimes, but. Did
you, I think you said in an earlier episode, didn't you see Nirvana live? Or am I imagining?
No, man, I almost did. I had a chance to, but I had to work, and I should have just gotten fired.
Yeah.
Should have quit.
Definitely.
Right. I was working at a record store at the time. And so we had access to, it used to be that, when you bought tickets to shows, there was no online, you had to go, it was just a different way to do it. And so we sold tickets, and we had at that record store. And so we had access to buy tickets right when they went on sale. And so we had some serious VIP situations, but I didn't get to go to that one. It was a bummer, but I really liked my job at the time. So I just didn't go. But I have seen I don't know. So my favorite band, I don't have an answer. That's really tough. I wish I could tell you. Let me think about that. Dylan, answer.
You can say Celine Dion. It's okay. She has the voice of an angel.
Celine,
I'd say it. I love Celine Dion.
Celine, I love you. Right, if you're watching Celine right now, she's
an avid listener.
Okay, yeah. Well, then she knows already. She already knows how much.
We love you, Celine. Andy's heart will go on. My Xbox game question. Well, there's three games that me and my friends play. And when I say friends, I work with my friends. So, and we kind of have always had a setup here at the shop. So when we first bought the building, as soon as you walk through the front door where the front office is now, we built in the wall, 2 TVs, 2 Xboxes, 2 surround systems. So when we got the day worth of work done, or we wanted to take a break, we would just play a 2 TVs together, playing on either a LAN thing or online. And we've always played together Gears of War, Horde, or we would play Call of Duty Zombies. So the funniest thing is that we've been playing Call of Duty Zombies since the very beginning. And there was probably with the first Zombies, there was a map. It was the first map called Kino. And we probably played that map 3 nights a week, if not more, at work. And we would play it. We played it for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
The same map.
Yeah. It's weird, actually, because Andy just said Nirvana, which I probably would have said the same, and you've just said Gears of War, and I would have said the same. And I went through a period where I used to play Gears of War with my mates, and we literally did the exact same map for years, and nobody could touch us because we just knew every pixel of that map.
Exactly. Yeah. So Gears we played a lot of. Call of Duty Zombies, not multiplayer, just the zombies thing. Yeah. We play a lot of, but one of my favorites from the last couple years was Red Dead Redemption 2. But the best part about that to me is I kind of put an open invite out for printers if that wanted to play. So we would meet up in the West, basically,
Right.
which was funny. So, and you can make posses. So I had a printer posse going that was like me and a bunch of other printers. But the best part about that game is you can just like pillage and like murder and like everything. So me and Josh Grizzly Wheeler and like Matt Relentless and like all these other printers would get together and we would go as a posse riding our horses like cowboys, go to towns and just murder the whole town. So it was so fun to do that.
Yeah,
like I said,
you have a heart mousetraps.
these aren't real people. I mean, they are real players online, but like,
oh, okay.
I'm not actually killing a real creature. Just somebody's spirit. I'm what was it called? Soul Trader.
Soul Trader. I think after this episode, I'm going to change my gamer tag to Soul Trader.
You have to. Yeah, you have to. Which is funny, too, because we're talking about Mortal Kombat. The new movie's coming out.
Yeah.
And everybody here at the shop's stoked on it because we get together every Thursday and we go out for steaks and then we watch movies afterwards. But we bought 2 copies of Mortal Kombat. Was it 7 or 11? It's 11, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 11, the newest.
So we bought the newest one. And for like a week, every day at lunch, we were having tournaments.
Yeah.
So like everybody here would grab a controller and we'd have a tournament till we got a winner at the end. So it was funny. We were like full gore, surround cranked, just fighting each other. And we were screaming. We were like, fucking kill him. Like, so yeah, like I'm not a huge gamer, but like we definitely have games. And to me, it's that like getting together with your buddies and just shooting the shit while you're playing together and like talking about life or work or whatever, but you're also just like together doing something. Yeah. Cause nobody here is like at all into like drugs or drinking. So to us, that's our going to the bar and hanging out. You know what I mean? So like, that's the reason why we do it. And I feel like almost all of us, none of us play like outside of doing that. We don't play unless we're playing all together. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean it's a good. It's an important lesson as well because I think that you've obviously. I know you work with a lot of your mates, but that like disconnect from printing, and team building at the same time, and like that's obviously such an important part of your company ethos, I guess. But
that's the thing that's funny too is like you said, like I didn't plan that. I wasn't like, oh, this is a team building exercise. We have to do it this many times for this amount of time. It's like, no, it's just like me and my buddies just wanted to hang out and it works out to like as a stress relief. You know what I mean? We could have a long work day and then we're like, shit, let's throw in some pizzas in the oven and let's like play, we might do it tonight. Probably. Yeah. We're going to get together and play the new Call of Duty map or whatever and play until like 2 a.m. But yeah, it's just a fun thing to do.
Yeah, you've got to have that. You've got to have that work-life balance, and you just got to let off steam. You've got to do, which is what I'm guilty of not doing. I'm guilty of just working.
Go to bed, wait for tomorrow.
Yeah. Go.
That's my favorite. We had an employee that it's actually a friend of ours that used to work here. He ended up going somewhere else, but he would always say that at the end of the day, like, "What are you going to do tonight?" He's like, "Oh, go home, go to bed, wait for tomorrow."
Yeah. It's true though, really. But, yeah. Important lesson.
What's your print question?
Let me get me Google Sheets up. Yes. So, do any of you still print on manuals? And the reason I ask is, I am weighing up whether. So when I do eventually go for an auto, to me, I'm weighing up the option of do I keep the manual as just for the odd jobs, but at the same time that's going to mean I need more space, which means the rent costs are higher. Or do I sell the manual and just go all in on the auto, and obviously I can get a smaller space, and that's what I'm weighing up at the moment. So that's why I want to know if you guys print on your manuals. If
you want me to go first, Andy?
Sure. Yeah.
Ours collects a lot of dust.
Yeah.
We definitely use it, but we use it only for like really, really, and I wouldn't even say small jobs because we'll do everything on the auto. Yeah. But like if somebody comes to us with like a really, like they want us to test something or do a weird location that would just be a pain in the ass on the auto, I'll do it on the manual. But right now, literally on the manual, every head, it's a 6.6. Every head on there has tags. Like a sheet to print transfers of like our normal customers who constantly get tags. I just leave it on there and we manually print transfer tags. And then, so the thing is though, is a little while ago, me and Andy had this discussion too, but like I was going to sell it. I was like, same thing. I was like, we never use this fucking thing. It takes up, cause it's a 6.6 Sidewinder and it takes up a good amount of space in the shop. I was like, if I'm just doing tags, I could buy like a one head single station thing, put it in the corner, and it would save me so much more room. But I know as soon as I fucking sell that thing and it leaves the shop, I'm going to wish I had it, or there's going to be some project I need it for. Yeah. So I think if you can, you should keep it.
Yeah. I think my only concern is, I mean, financially it makes the most sense to get rid of it, but like I might miss it. I might miss just printing and pulling ink.
I just feel like there's going to be something that you need it for. You know what I mean? You're not going to have it.
Yeah. So definitely. Yeah. I think neck prints as well. I mean, I don't know how awkward it is to swap out pallets and put sleeve pallets on an auto.
You could do it on the auto. A lot of people do. That's what I'm saying. Like we can have a real small job or a real small task. The guys would still prefer to put it on the auto because it's like second nature to load it real quick, print it, and be done. Nobody wants to go over the manual and like register it and everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I think swapping out pallets on the auto takes way longer, you know. I mean, depending on what kind of auto. So on a 10 or a 12 color, I mean, it's going to take a while. I would say I would echo pretty much everything Dylan just said. Like I think if I went over to our manual, it would have, you know, tag screens up most of all 6 heads. Yeah. It gets 95% of what's printed on there is for, you know, our retagging, but right now anyway, but I think if it used to be when we were so busy that, you know, their press time was precious. We would, like print fixes, for example, like let's say we had a hole in a shirt or whatever, and we had a 2-color job we had to do on one shirt, then we would set it up on the manuals just to keep it off the auto. Yeah. But if it was 4-color, we would never set it up on the manual, just because
almost always 1 colors on the manual.
Like a fix. If it was one shirt fix, 4-color goes on the auto because it's just so much faster. And but like you said, 1 color, 2-color, we would set it up on the manual.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. Like I would say, I think that when you get your first auto, if you haven't printed on the auto, if you're not used to printing on the auto, you're going to be like, whoa, this is just crazy. And you're going to want to you're going to almost think to yourself, like, what did I do? You know, I should have just got another manual and run 2 manuals or something like that, because it's a little different, you know, or a lot different. And then once you get past though that, you know, step backwards and you sort of get through that learning curve, and you're running your auto, you're gonna be like, wait a minute, why didn't I do this like 5 years ago? You know, and so, you know, it's just that kind of thing.
Yeah. I went to, so over here, we have an ink supplier called Magna Colors. I don't know if you've heard of them, the water-based. They run like an academy, and you can go, they actually put you in an hotel and you can go and they show you all the inks and everything. And they have autos. And I went there for about 4 days. And that was my first experience with an auto. And I just, oh man, my mind was blown. I was just like, what am I doing? Well, you know, and so I'm very much looking forward to the day. But like you say, I guess it's a whole nother learning curve.
Well, the funny thing is too, is like a lot of the guys that we hire that run the auto and they run it for years have never manually printed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wonder is it easier to run an auto once you know what you're doing? Because I mean,
I feel like it's easier to run an auto because they're not having to learn actual print strokes with their hands or where the squeegee goes or.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were asking, like, is it easier to run an auto if you know how to print manually? If that's your question, I would say 100% yes. In fact, I would think it would make you a better printer. I have printers here, like Dylan just said, that have only printed on an auto, and they're still very good, and they know they can problem solve very well. But every once in a while, they're caught off guard because something you learned on a manual is happening on the auto, and you have that edge of, okay, I know, kind of like you said, you've made every mistake. And so, when something's going wrong, you can quickly diagnose it and say, oh, well, it's this, or it's one of these three things. I think if you printed manually for years, that happens a little bit faster because there's certain things that are going on, that you recognize.
The biggest thing for you is like, if you're going from the manual to the auto, is going to be just figuring out like the interface and like how to actually run the press. But the thing with an auto is like with a manual, if you misprint or mess something up, you see it instantly. You know what I mean? Like you look down like, oh, I fucked that up. But with the auto, a lot of times you don't notice it until it gets back to you.
Yeah.
So you've got 10, 12, 8, whatever colors on the press. You don't notice you fucked something up until you've got 10 shirts on the press with that mess up on it.
Before I forget, I wanted to add this part. You know how I was telling you, I don't know if it was in our pregame or what, but I said that I offloaded that Cobra for that shop.
Yeah.
I called and talked to them on Thursday. No, he called me on Thursday, like around 6:00. And he's like, dude, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't, like, I'm having trouble printing. First of all, just because he went from an older Gauntlet to this new Cobra, which is, just different. And it's like it's screens and everything.
Right.
And I'm like, no, man, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
Because he went from switches.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's really no interface or anything. That's how old that press was. But then he also said this, which I wanted to remind everybody, and that is, including myself. He's like, I cannot believe. He's like, we normally on that Gauntlet have been printing, we PFP are white, and then he was printing, it was a 2-color job. It was white and traffic green. And so normally he was like, I would PFP that white and then go green on top to get that brightness. And I don't have to do that. And I'm like, well, I think it's probably this. It's half that your press, you have this brand new press, it's calibrated perfectly, it's leveled perfectly to the thousandth of an inch and all this kind of stuff. And so you're getting to put just the right amount of pressure on there instead of too much pressure on one side, or, you're compensating. And so you're jamming that white into the shirt more. And so it's half that and half, it's like you're using brand new squeegee rubber, because it ships with that new rubber. And that's
what a lot of people don't realize is the squeegee rubber is so important.
I'm like, dude, how old are your squeegee rubber? And he's like, a couple years. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's probably that. Like your white looks fantastic because you have this super sharp, awesome squeegee.
Yeah. You should be able to feel your fingerprint on the edge of the squeegee blade.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you need sharpen.
Okay, I know what you mean. Like as you rub
your actual fingerprint, like the ripples in your finger.
Yeah.
You should be able to feel those on the edge of the squeegee blade.
I've never heard that before.
If you can't feel that on the edge of the squeegee blade, you need to sharpen your squeegee blade.
That's a good shop hack, Dylan. That's a good shop hack. And speaking of shop hacks,
man,
he's like, "Fuck, I don't have any."
No, I do. I had to really scrape the barrel because, everybody's had all the best ones. The very last episode you just did with the family print shop, they pulled out the very first shop hack he pulled out. Like, I couldn't believe it because out of 40 odd episodes,
what did he say? We're talking about home print shop. What did he say? I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember. Anyway. The only hack I remember that he was saying was the one.
Baby wipes.
Oh, baby wipes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, so good. But
that was a perfect hack for him to talk about too, because of having the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was pretty good about them, but I've got some more. I've scraped a barrel and coat with some. I think a couple of them are actually more like marketing hacks.
Do those, yeah. We don't get those.
Well, I'll do the marketing hacks first. Then there's only a couple. So the first one is I've got show and tell. So like a little Instax camera. Every order, well, not every order, most orders that I do, I try and take a picture in production, and obviously it like prints out instantly. And I just put the little Polaroid in with every order, and just with a little thank you note.
That's pretty awesome.
Just a nice little touch.
Do you write on the back?
No, you can't really write on the back, but I put like a little flyer in and write on the flyer.
That's cool.
It's just little touches, and every time I've done it, you always get that extra thank you note from the customer. Because if you don't do stuff like that, you'll send them an order, and then you hear back from them the next time they want another order. But
you don't at all.
Or you don't at all if I
think if Dylan put that plan into action in his shop, then the customers would probably get a bunch of pictures of people's asses and stuff.
Oh, I was already thinking that. We're same brain today. I was like, there would be so many fingers in the background, or just like an asshole over in the corner that you couldn't see.
Depends if you like the customer.
Right. Or an actual photo of somebody's ass on that shirt. That's what it would be.
Yeah. Just teabagging the shirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten photos from buddies who have like asked me for upstate shirts, and they send me a picture back of them wearing the shirt but with no pants on, and it's just trunk hanging out. Like that's what these would be like. Hey, we're sending you a mock-up of your shirt, and it would just be like no pants.
It's a good marketing shop hack, though. Just not at upstate, probably. We should,
right? Yeah, but it wouldn't work out so well.
Yeah. Well, the next marketing hack, like I can't really claim this one. So I get my stickers from a local guy, and he sent me it in this tube, and he put like Flippin sweet and big bold
That's
letters.
Joanne right there.
Right. Yeah, well, that's what I thought when you said it earlier. That's instantly what I thought. And so the hack is all my packaging now, and he sort of gave me this idea. So obviously it goes in a box, and on top of the box, I'll write in big marker pens to whoever it is, and I'll take a little bit of time. But even on the inside, I'll write them a little message. And every single time they get it, they'll post it on Instagram. So if I send out orders, 9 times out of 10, they open the order and they do what they do. But now almost every single time it appears on Instagram. So I'm gaining that little bit of extra Instagram traffic. And
100% genius. I love it.
I know. I wish I could claim it, but yeah,
really good.
The problem is when you're sending out like 40 boxes a day.
Yeah,
it's a lot of artwork.
So full-time
sketch artist.
Yeah,
and lots of Sharpies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No goalies.
I'd say I only send out maybe a couple of orders a day, so I can get away with it. You might have to get like more staff.
But like I ordered that painting, this one right behind me, from Joanne, and she drew. There was like 3 boxes surrounding the thing, and every box had a drawing on it.
Mm-hmm. That's what. She does that with everyone, and on the outside too. Like you were saying, it's not just not a note on the inside or whatever, but inside, it's the whole thing.
Yeah, that personal touch just makes such a good impression, I think.
I agree.
Speaking of personal touch, I want to show this real quick. I posted it on Instagram, but let me tip this up. We got those sweet shirt show rugs. Did you see that? It's a rug. It's like a shag carpet rug. Yeah, there's Andy's.
Oh, that's cool. I saw them on your Instagram. They're really cool.
Yeah, they're so rad.
I'm jealous. I think
shout out
a flipping sweet rug.
Eastern.
Cool.
Yeah.
Eastern?
Yeah.
You got the sticker? You got to hold the sticker up.
Hold on.
Have you seen how they make them as well? They have like a gun.
Yeah, and they like go around and do the thing. Yeah, no, it's super cool.
The rugs came
Eastern
from
Shore.
Shout out to, I got the sticker right here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I might follow those guys. I follow a lot of screen printers.
Dude, it was so touching, like such a cool thing. He wrote me like a note too, talking about.
I got a note too, Dylan. I think my note is nicer. It was from Sean and the team.
Oh, that's right. Did yours have like where they put lipstick on and they kiss the paper and they put like perfume scent on it?
No, I just got a picture of their assholes.
Oh,
I don't know.
I got that, but I got front and back.
All right. Well, next shop hack, or is that it? Those are really good. Like you can end there.
Yeah, those were sweet ones.
Well, these are probably
those were flipping sweet ones.
Yes. This is probably going to be where it goes downhill. So this stuff, this is like a rubber grippy mesh. I don't know if you ever used it.
It's like the stuff you put in your toolbox.
Yeah, toolbox. Yeah, ours is black though, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this doesn't really apply to auto printers, but on a manual press, if you've got side clamps, you've got that bar at the back. So I wrap this around and I tie wrap it in place. And then when I'm printing, the squeegee, it doesn't bounce and fall into the ink, which is a bane of my life until I put that on.
That's good. That's a good one. Didn't go downhill.
Yeah, that's really good because like when your squeegee falls forward into the ink, every time I just drop my head and close
the funny thing is you talk about that is do you use those aluminum squeegees?
Yeah, the ergo ones.
Yeah, so I just bought a bunch of those to replace all the old wood ones because I needed a new squeegee blade anyway.
Yeah.
And I have that Sidewinder, and when I lay the squeegee down, I lay it on that adjustment knob. Andy, you probably know the one that's right in the middle. And the wood ones will hit it and stop. There's no bounce.
Yeah.
That aluminum one bounced, and the very first time I used it, it hit it and it came right down in the ink. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that rubber stuff would just deaden that bounce, like when it wouldn't bounce. So that's super smart. Yeah. So if you use the aluminum ones, you're definitely going to want to use that stuff. Yeah.
Now that I've got side clamps, the matting works. But when I had the old Workhorse, it has that same like bolt that sticks out in the center.
Mm-hmm.
What I used to use for that was, I don't know if you've heard of Subaru. It's like a rubber, it's like a moldable plasticine, but it dries hard like a rubber. That stuff, I just put like a blob of that, and then it just deadens it. Same type of thing. But I've got an upgrade to that hack, which I've not tried yet, so don't hold me to it. So I've got like these little magnets. These all individual. What I thought about doing was obviously like gluing, like just a row, like maybe 3 to the squeegee, and then 3 to the back of the press. So every time you put it down, you're almost clipping it in place. And then obviously it's not going to fall back.
I like that a lot. You could put it almost, I wonder if you could put it on the inside of it.
Yeah.
Of that squeegee handle. Yeah, it's hollow right there.
Yeah.
Just put one on the inside.
Yeah.
That way you wouldn't have to worry about cleaning it ever or anything, if it got.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Or it being in the way of your hands.
Yeah, I guess because you obviously, if you put it on the outside, you're going to feel it. But yeah, so you've upgraded my hack.
We're building this together, guys.
The thing is, though, I've already painted it. So, where's my other shop hack? The next shop hack this is a money saving tip. So, obviously, I used to work in the sign industry with like vinyl, and we used to get application tape. The screen print suppliers in the UK, it might not be the same in America. They sell the pallet tape. They sell basically sign application tape, and they call it screen printers pallet tape, but charge like double the price. So if you go to a sign vinyl writers supplier, you'll get the application tape like half the price.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's what I found. And
what do you call it? Sign? It's
the clear. It's the clear stuff, right? Not pallet tape.
No. Well, so the pallet tape. Yeah. So what I've just said about the pallet tape. So this stuff, this is also application tape, and I use this for registering. So the same hack, you can get the same application tape in paper and application tape in clear.
Oh, okay.
From sign writers suppliers, and it's like half the price.
That's a good one.
Cool.
So that's a little money saving tip.
I like it. You had good tips, man.
We had marketing, money making tips. Then we have
those are better than anything.
Money saving tips.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
All the print tips have sort of been taken. Like I watched as soon as you asked me to come on, I had to like rerun all the episodes. I was like constantly just like, oh God, I want to say that one. I've got one more, I think.
I was thinking about talking to you guys, you and Chad, about we should put a spot on the website that has like our favorite shop hacks and tips.
Yeah.
Because right now, the only way for you to know them is to listen to every episode.
Yeah. It's hard to forget. It's easy to forget as well. I mean, what I've actually started doing is writing down, getting a little notepad for each episode.
Well, we get so many people that like tag us on Instagram or whatever with ones that they've implemented, and they're like, "Holy shit, thanks! Like I didn't do this before." But it would be nice to like have a list of them, like you could pop in and check out what they were. Maybe you could have a vote so we know who appreciates if they were good or bad. Yeah. And then I guess one more. I don't even know if this is a hack. I found that my manual press is a little bit low, so I got these like they're basically like feet, the risers for like twin beds for beds and stuff. Yeah, and apparently these hold up to like a couple of £1,000 or something. And I guess a press isn't that heavy, so I got these recently to try. So I'm going to try and raise my press a little bit. So that was a little hack. That's awesome. I've only ever had people complain that the press is too high. Yeah, well, I think the rule of thumb is it needs to be just above waist height. I think that's what they say. Just so you don't have to bend down as far. Yeah, I like ours high though. I like autos too. They're almost as high as like when we do installs for our autos, we raise it as high as possible. Because I think that You kind of want to just be able to do this.
You don't want to have to bend over.
You don't want to have to bend over. Yeah.
No.
All right.
No. Have I got any more? This is. I've started basically writing a company handbook.
It's good.
And there's so many variables in screen printing, and I just think you will forget more than you'll learn more than most people know. So I've just started writing down everything.
You will, and you do, and you do, and you will.
Yeah.
That's all you need right there.
Right.
Yeah. So the book, you open it up and it just has that.
It just has Andy saying you will, and you do, and you do.
We're doing that same thing, only at different departments. So we used to have binders at every spot, and it was like a training binder. So if you were going to become a press assistant, you would get this binder, and it was like a training guide anyway. It had the basics in it. But then it became outdated because we didn't keep with it. And so we don't hand them out anymore. What we really need to update them and get them going so that they're current. But what we're doing, started to do about 2 weeks ago, and that was for up here at the front, is do this, and she called it a desk reference. And so it's just really helping when something comes up, like you just said, you need to invoice like this, or we need to charge for that. Instead of, like, one of the things that happens here is we're supposed to, for POs we get from a certain school district, we don't invoice them until the job is done. So the dates match up a certain way. Well, you have to memorize that. And if you don't, then you may send the invoice early, and that upsets them and all this kind of thing. And so wouldn't it be nice to have a desk, she called it a desk reference. And so, when you come to that kind of stuff, or if you ever have any question, or if you're like, how did I do that again? You just, flip to it real fast, and then there it is. And so, we're starting to create that because there's just so much of that stuff. And so you can almost do that in any department, whether it's design, or, your press assistant, your reclaim, you know what I mean? Like, every department needs this sort of thing. That it's living, though. You're like, it's just easy to update. You know what I mean? Instead of,
we kind of do that with stickies because we all run Macs. So we have on the desktop on stickies, we have like all the references. But when I was in Georgia with John, he kind of had a cool thing that I ended up doing while I was there. Is he just had like his wooden desk, like the big office desk or whatever, but he had glass over top of it. So under the glass, like under where your hands would go on the keyboard, he just had all of his references and stuff like on the desk under the glass. So you could just like look through the desk and be like, oh, that's my price for this, or, oh, that's this is what I do and what I charge for this or whatever. So it's just nice to have all that stuff right there handy.
That's pretty cool.
Did you say Andy or handy?
Soft handy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right.
Any more, Danny? You got some more?
Any more?
We're squeezing them. We're squeezing them for all it's worth right now.
So if you're on a manual press and you have to swap out pallets, I always cut like a piece of timber. So each of my pallet types. So if it's just a standard T-shirt, I know that I have to rest this on the arm and just slide it up.
Scott does that. He sent us that picture the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Scott has like a 2x4, and they're different colored 2x4s, and it has written on it like youth pallets or like hoodie pallets, or so you can just bump it up to the board.
I like that better. The M&R, how they switched. I don't know if it's this way in the Gauntlet, but it switched to laser. Do you have how on our Sportsman's there's an arm, a stop block that you pull out, and then you put your pallet to it?
Mm-hmm. We still have that, but we also have laser. Yeah.
So the Cobra, they don't have it. It's just a laser. Block? Yeah. So in other words, like there's just laser at the bottom, right? You just put your pallets to it. So there's no stop block. It would be faster, I think, and probably more accurate, because the laser's only so good.
Can you just make a stop block for it?
Well, Danny just showed me how. I didn't know how to do it before.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right, there you go. Good.
All right.
Piece of timber.
They're perfect.
So quick takes?
Yes, quick takes. Uh-oh.
You never sent them to me.
Oh, God, I'm such a piece of shit.
You are.
Hold on a second.
Well, it's funny, too. We were talking about this. We talked about this on the episode that's going to come out on Monday. But we were saying how we should start a shirt show Spotify playlist. So you asked Andy what his favorite band was. We need to ask you, like, what are some, and don't hold back. It can be Celine Dion. It's fine. Let us know, like, what are your top 3 things you're listening to right now, so we could like add it to that list.
Well, Celine Dion number 1.
Hell yeah.
Do you know what? I'm a bit old. I'm a bit past my years, really, because I like all the old stuff like Elvis and Beatles and a lot of the 60s type of stuff. But I do really love Nirvana, Kurt Cobain. Then I don't really like much modern music. I think the 2 bands that I like that are sort of modern, John Lennon's son, Sean Lennon, and I don't know if you know Primus.
Yeah.
I thought, well, Sean Lennon and the guy from Primus, I forgot his name now. They've got a band together. Yeah, Les Claypool. So it's called Lennon Delirium. Les Claypool and Lennon Delirium. That is such an awesome band. If you like Primus, you'd like those guys.
I'll have to check that out.
And then,
I've seen Primus a few times.
Yeah, they're awesome. And then there's a band that are kind of mimicking Led Zeppelin called Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, it's basically Zeppelin over again.
It is, yeah. I have them on repeat all day. Yeah, there it is. But
that's good.
Yeah, so they're my crew.
All right, cool. We'll have to make this happen.
Did you get my text?
Did I get your text?
Yes.
You just sent those nudies. I didn't get any questions.
I knew he was going to say that. Yes or no? Just that's all I'm looking for. Did you get the text?
It's solid. It's a solid piece. You don't have to be ashamed of it.
So here we go.
Okay, you starting it or am I?
You started.
All right. What's your go-to beverage? You were drinking something. Was it a Corona? What do you got?
Well, so what I did is I didn't make the same mistake you guys made. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Oh.
So if it was any beer...
It was a Corona.
No, it wasn't. If it was any beer sponsors, I'm open to we can put any there. But yeah, it was a Corona.
See, yeah, knew it.
All right, next is best recent read.
I'm not a big reader, but I did read. So I don't know if you've heard of Abraham Hicks. It's a little bit like The Secret, which is all about the laws of attraction and manifestation. It's a little bit spiritual.
What is it? Abraham what?
Abraham Hicks.
I was going to say, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's a bit spiritual and a bit out there. And it basically just teaches you to think positively and not to dwell on negativity, because the theory is if you think positive, you attract positive things to you. So I read them books and I put it into practice, and it can't hurt, can it? It's like maybe it's not some spiritual crazy whatever cosmic thing that happens, but just thinking positive is only.
But if it makes you a better person, what's it matter? Yeah.
So I read those, and it's a little bit out there, but it definitely gets you to stop yourself when you're heading on that negative.
On that positivity negativity thing, we were printing this
negativity. Keep going. Sorry, I couldn't not say it.
Never mind. So the next quick take. What do we got here?
No, come on. Say what you're going to say.
No, you don't deserve it. I'll tell Danny later.
I was being negative. I'm sorry. I was being negative. Just tell me what you needed to say.
Well, we were printing this shirt, and we kept. I don't know. There's been like 3 reorders. Like we were printing a lot of them. It's like, what does it mean? And so it's it says Wilburn Sage and Bridges. Have you heard of this? And so, like I looked it up, and burning sage is it gets sort of like you were talking about. It gets rid of
negative spirits,
negativity.
Right.
I'm trying to practice my proper Queen's English also.
Yeah.
It's obviously I need a lot of help.
Andy's worse than you. It's all right. You're good.
But and then what I liked about the next part is the burn bridges is like, because you always hear, don't burn bridges, right? You shouldn't burn a bridge. But actually, I think what it's suggesting is that you should. There are certain people probably you should burn a bridge with that are negative, right? And so you're supposed to get that away because it's bad. You're supposed to get the positive vibes going, not the negative ones.
Speaking, this has nothing to do with it, but it's the literal. Me and Chris accidentally caught a bridge on fire once when we were younger. So we literally burned a bridge.
Yeah, we did.
We were punk kids and we had nothing to do, and we would make Molotov cocktails out of 30s or 40s, like Big Bear 40s. And we would take them down to there's like a 1-lane bridge by his house, and we would just like throw them at the bridge. And the one, we put too much oil in the mixture, and the oil just stayed on fire for a while, and like the whole side of the bridge was on fire.
Chad, you may have to cut this out. I think the statute of limitations come get me. I would. You just incriminated yourself.
I don't care. Bring it
to that. So you just fucked up. So yeah, next question. You see it on there? Look at your phone.
Well, I got to pull my phone out again.
Yeah.
I scroll past all your pics. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Oh man, I should have thought about this. I've been watching all the episodes, waiting for these questions, and this is the one I didn't preempt. I don't know.
The thing is, usually that one's a pretty easy one because people realize, oh fuck, I should have done that sooner.
Like, I shouldn't have burnt down that bridge.
Yeah. What do you got that you feel like you would have been better off if you did sooner than later?
I definitely think
not sell bootleg stuff on the internet.
No, I definitely would have done that. Not burn out, I guess. Just no matter how hard it gets, just set that little bit of time aside, because you just can't be productive burnt out. You just can't do it, and you're only shooting yourself in the foot. So that's something I would have tried to, take a little bit more care of myself, I guess. Which I'm learning now, but
I love that advice because that would probably be my answer, And so I love that advice. Go jump on your mountain bike and go to the park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You've got to do. Yeah, definitely.
Recharge, come back, and then you're stronger.
Yeah. Even the world's top athletes have recovery days. So as business owners, you've got to have recovery days too.
Next question. Okay. What's the most British thing you do?
I'm not very British. I don't drink tea. What is stereotypical? What would you say is stereotypically British?
Do you solve crimes and stuff?
No, I like to watch crime documentaries.
Don't you guys eat salt and vinegar chips?
Oh yeah. We like. Do you have fish and chip shops in America?
Shops
not
like actual?
The same. Not the same.
No, because you have fries. You'll have skinny chips. We have fat chips.
Freedom fries.
Most British thing, I really don't know. I'm not a very stereotypical person, I don't think. I think I'm a bit out there. So.
Well, that's good. You're your own man.
Hell yeah, my own man.
What would you say is the best lesson running a print shop has taught you?
Kind of the same as the last one.
Don't skip leg day.
Don't skip leg day. Listen to Celine Dion.
Yes.
I don't know. My answer's the same as what would I tell myself 20 years ago? Because I'm trying to think of something different.
Try not to burn out.
Try not to burn out. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think that's been the bane of my past 10 years, really. So, yeah, that's the one I think. Definitely.
Yeah. Andy, it's you, man.
He answered this earlier, but I'm going to ask it again and see if he gives us the same answer. What would you be doing if you weren't printing shirts?
So building websites was something I wanted to do. I've always had that little bit of entrepreneurial spirit. I think I've been raised to believe as a child that but I've been raised to think that you'll only make money if you make it yourself. rather than working for somewhere else, which is a load of rubbish. But that's just how, that's just been drilled into me. So I think no matter what, I'd have started some type of business. I just guess it's somewhat creative.
Were your parents entrepreneurs?
Not really. My dad was a firefighter. Well, actually, I say that, yes. So my dad was a firefighter, but in the UK, firefighters, it's not the same as in America. In America, firefighters are heroes. And, they get a lot of respect and they're well looked after. That's the opinion. That's the impression I get. In the UK, a lot of firefighters, they all have extra jobs because, they don't really get paid what they should. And so most firefighters will, like my dad had to make money on the side just to supplement it. So early on in my life, he had like the heat press for printing mugs, and he had a vinyl cutter, which is where I obviously took it from.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's sort of all. So a lot of it came from my dad's ingenuity and trying to find ways to supplement fighting fires.
That's awesome. No, I feel like I have a similar thing. Like I never thought I was going to be a business owner or do anything like that, but it was just kind of like you got to figure shit out on your own, or it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
that's kind of how things went down in my house. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, where I live, the prospects for me, and if I wanted to go get some type of career, there's not a lot of prospects in the particular area where I am. So I almost had to do it for myself. So I guess same sort of thing.
Yeah. What are your socials like? What should people look for?
Yeah, where can people find you?
Just on Instagram, Flippin Sweet UK. That's literally all I do. I did try TikTok for a little bit, but I didn't really keep up with it. But if you follow me on Instagram, Flippin Sweet UK, I'm always available to have a DM or whatever, and that's where I'm most active.
And your website.
And my website, which probably don't look at it today because it's not working. Give it a few days. Check it out in a couple of days.
And that's what, is that just Flippin Sweet, or is that Flippin Sweet UK too?
Yeah, flippinsweet.co.uk, the website.
Cool. Signature?
All right. Yeah, last question is what's for dinner? Although it's later there, you might have already had dinner. I don't know.
No, well, yeah, I had a little bit of something, but I think I'll go to the Chippy, which is a fish and chip shop. On where get a bag of chips or a bag of fries.
Freedom fries.
Bag of freedom fries.
Well, this was fun, dude. I'm really glad we got to do this with you. I'm really glad I didn't have to ask you, what did you just say?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
But yeah, super stoked on this one. So thanks for coming on, dude.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I don't know who paid you to suggest to get me on, but I really appreciate it. Whether it will, thanks so much.
Well, me and Andy just want to talk to people that we like, and there's no reason or rhyme why we pick people other than we think you have a rad shop.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following you for, it seems like 5 years, maybe more on Instagram. We've messaged back and forth a few times and giving each other love on our posts and stuff. And so we've never really talked though. And so this was great.
Oh, it was amazing. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And yeah, like you say, good to finally chat and keep up the good work with the shirt show, because this is invaluable to us smaller printers, but I'm sure the bigger printers as well take just as much. So thanks very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, we just like to shoot the shit, so it works for us too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and eventually Dylan and I are gonna tour Europe and all the shops over there,
and we'll get so much fish and chips.
I was just gonna say we are gonna go.
But I'm allergic to fish, so I'll probably lose like 100 pounds over there with throwing up.
Just mostly chips. Yeah, we'll just get the chips.
All right, man. We'll see you later. Have a good night.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Later.